Good evening, gamers, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Night Road. We are joined by the lovely Julian Sim here, just as we left off the last time. The last time we were all introduced to one Teddy, a Tremere, who has got seeming loyalties to the Ivory Tower, or the Camarilla. He's a, what is the turn of phrase? He's a quick-tongued, smart man is how I'm going to describe him because words are failing me and I don't mean to keep you all here for too long. As with last time, if you check the description, the links to both buy the game itself, or interactive novel rather, as well as the music that's being played in the background, which is available for free on both YouTube and Spotify. The link for Rik Schaffer's art is there. Let us begin. A new personal low, Julian says. He's wearing a glitched t-shirt and a smile. He starts to enter, then looks down and says, "You have to invite me in." I fucking don't, Julian. That's not how vampires work. Still, I think it's important to set boundaries, Julian says. But if you're going to be difficult, he tosses you a tiny webcam. This is on your ceiling, by the way. Give me your phone and I'll take care of the tracking program there. He looks so young. He looks so young, you think, as he wanders in and out of your shitty crash pad, shooting for bugs. For some reason, you expected him to age. You look at yourself in your Honda's side view mirror. You haven't aged either. Man, it's been a while, Julian says, leaning against your door frame. I remember the nights we spent keeping that elder asleep with offerings of blood, the days curled up together in the desert. Wasn't that romantic? And that never happened, Julian. You made up our relationship and tried to sell it as a novel until the old Prince of Tuscan threatened to execute you. Vampire romance was big at the time, Julian says with a shrug, and I changed your names. I still don't know why no one wanted to buy it, but I wasn't just writing vampire erotica for the money. I had a plan, which brings me to your clan and the things they keep getting up to in their research. I've been working with Jasper Knowles lately. Terrible what happened to Jasper, of course. It's also terrible what he did to that sewer rat. And that Outlander. And that... Anyway. What's worse is that I've been working with Jasper, not K-Knight to K-Knight, but man to man, as it were. Of course, Jasper went and screwed it all up with his experiment, and I had to get rid of his... Julian studies you for a moment, then his eyes widen. You found the damn knife! You're too clever for your own good. Let's see. Starting to monologue, Julian. That's a dangerous habit. Why don't you just tell me what you want me to know? Hard living has made you dull, Teddy, the Banu Hakim says. Fine. Since the Convention of Thorns, the Masquerade has protected us from mortal scrutiny. We hide what we are, we live in the shadows. But that can't last. He tosses the USB webcam up and down. The Second Inquisition should have taught us that. One day, soon, mortals will learn the truth. This is inevitable. Do you know why Jasper Knowles decided to end his experiments with that Nosferatu? Because someone filmed it when it got out. Then he called me to turn the video from a Masquerade breach into a trailer to a new student horror film. I had to fake some dates and timestamps, but the Tremere paid me well. That's going to happen more and more, Teddy, and eventually it's going to be happening every night, all the time, always on, constant streaming. We must stop offering a hard wall against this inevitability and start creating a guided path for the mortals. Let's see what we've got here. I'm familiar with this kind of speculation. There's another option, a curtailed world of walled gardens and limited information. That's the route I believe Kindred must take. And if we were as gods, Julian says, gesturing like a Roman rhetorician, I think is how you would say that, that might be possible. But our elders have flocked to the Middle East to fight and die in their incomprehensible holy war. It's just us weaklings left, and we can't shape history, if Canaanites ever really could. Tomorrow, now that you have this beautiful machine, Julian says, banging on the hood of your Honda, Prince Leteau will give you one of 3 USBs. Would you like to know what's on them? He doesn't let you answer. One warns the Bruja Patermaster about renovations to his hospital that will expose his followers. One informs the Tremere in video call that her mentor Jasper Knowles is dead and that her funding is cut off because her facility's contacts with mundane biomedical research firms threatens the Masquerade. One tells the Vintru, Ellen Olive Krona, that the Second Inquisition is coming for her little prison buffet down at the border. Wherever you go, the people there will use you or destroy you to escape what's coming. And it's all happening because of Jasper's experiments. Let's see. Why are you telling me all of this? I absolutely don't trust Julian, but once he starts talking, it's not like there's a way to stop him. So you can survive, so you can help me in my first phase of my work, and so you can stop the Second Inquisition. That's all. I won't even ask you to work against Prince Leto or the Camarilla, just watch for the Second Inquisition. But first, let me demonstrate how disposable you are, Teddy. To the prince. Now think back to what I taught you. What is the best place to begin, Teddy? The walls, Leto's thralls, his pet bird, Riga? Another damn test. Julian used to love these, but though you sometimes appreciate the Camarilla and its traditions, Julian always had a knack for spotting spies. He watches you as you look around your little garage, trying to ignore your lingering hunger. The best place to begin is with sorcery. I paint the wall with my blood and work a ritual that will reveal anything nearby that has vitae in its system. Julian himself, an experienced sorcerer, watches in silent curiosity as you concentrate, calling the blood into your fingernails, then painting a sigil on the concrete wall. This isn't an ancient trial, but it's a ritual, and it's probably not one Julian knows. Clan Tremere likes to keep track of its servants, and this ritual tells you where your servants are. You divide the world into north, south, east, and west, and cross in a circle painted on the wall. Are you trying to exercise me? Julian asks. Blood slithers from the circumference to the 3 points in the 2 quadrants. Magic radar, Julian says. Very impressive. He's seen spells like this before, and you both know how inaccurate they are. So, where's the bird? Then you do something the Banu Hakim does not expect. You draw a second circle, offset from the first, and connect them. The vitae slithers again. 3 dots of blood, the 3 sources of vitae, are now represented on a diagram with a 3rd dimension. It's clear now that there are 2 ghouls in the parking lot level below you and 1 eagle circling high overhead. Julian laughs. That's not bad, Teddy. The blood curdles on the walls. You can only hold the spell for so long, and the ritual still has problems, but you've obviously improved from the last time you saw Julian. He takes out his phone, checks the time, and frowns a little. You're going to need better security than this if you're going to stay here. What are you going to rig up? Cameras, poison gas, like we used to in Fort Worth? Old-timey runes of warding painted in blood? Despite the late hour, it takes a while to get Julian off the subject of security. Finally, he drops his voice and says, "You need to be ready for the Second Inquisition, Teddy. Anyway, I've been thinking about Isla. I regret what I did to that elder every night, and I've never forgiven Julian for leading me down that twisted path and away from the traditions of the kindred. And some days, I bet," Julian says. "But guilt doesn't become creatures like us, Teddy. We're here to learn from our mistakes, not dwell on them. That's hard, you think, when Isla swims in your blood. You've buried those memories as deeply as you can, and some days you can still see the curve of Isla's throat. Worse, sometimes you see the world through her eyes, things that never happened to you, touches from mortals who have long since crumbled to dust. The stains on your soul, visible to the eyes of a sensitive enough vampire, have faded, you tell yourself, but you never feel clean." "It's almost sunrise," Julian says, checking his phone again. "I'm late for prayer." He slips a business card out of his glitch hoodie and says, "With my usurper contact dead, my old Denver company 2100X is on hiatus, but I'm still thinking about the future, the 22nd century. Think about that, Teddy. It's a soft spot, a sort of a blank spot for our imagination. I mean, human imagination, too. We talked about the 21st century as kids. We can still, in a way, imagine the far future, but what's coming? What's it going to be like 80 or 100 years from now? Because I plan to be there, and I want your help. You're getting the impression that the Camarilla wants you. Maybe Prince Leto wants you as a patsy in case the Second Inquisition hits him like the fist of God, but he hasn't mistreated you yet, and you know that the kindred of the Camarilla do not serve 2 masters. What scheme of yours has ever turned out well, Julian? Please, just go." "You can't just," Julian says, momentarily losing his equilibrium. He forces himself to lean back, then he squeezes the bridge of his nose. "You are always difficult," he says. "God knows why. I can't say I've given you everything, but I tried to give you as much as I could. Keep the card, and when things go brightly with Prince Leto and the Camarilla, you'll know who to call." He yanks open the door to your little office room, scans the shadows for signs of pursuit, and disappears down the garage, walking with quick, angry steps. Your door swings shut. When it does, you spot the card for the motel where he's staying. You pick it up. The room number is written on the back, along with the address of a drop box. There's also a little design in the corner, like a knife. You recognize the Karen bit. Julian used to use that. Yeah, used to use that knife design to mark his holdings. He's probably using it again now that 2100X is defunct. You let the shock of Julian Sim's return fade, then check your Nixon watch as you take off. It's 6:20 a.m. You secure the door, drop the bolt, and strip out of your streetwear. You don't even have time for a shower, so you just unroll the sleeping bag and make sure the phone is charging. You dream of flying high over the Alps, the roar of a single-seater engine in your ears, a silk scarf wrapped around your throat to keep the cold off, though you are already colder than anything else in these skies. Your dream shifts to a huge moon over a city you know so well, that no name comes to mind, all turquoise domes and tall towers, black against the midnight sky. And then the same city, except it's only a village, low mud huts, donkeys, children laughing. It's morning and the sun feels hot against your back and your bare limbs. Not dreams, memories. And one last memory, one that you know isn't yours. You remember forcing your eyes open after years of darkness and looking up at two eager fledglings, one from your own clan and one from Clan Tremere. You remember watching, frozen as the Tremere's fangs slide out. You open your eyes for real and check your phone. It's 5:49 p.m., sunset. Isla is asleep again. Your fangs are protruding. You shake your head until they go away, though you keep remembering the coating of dust on the elder's throat as you sink your teeth into her. You shower, scraping the last of the filth out from underneath your fingernails. Then you decide where you're going. You don't want to keep Prince Leto waiting as you make a decision. Your first stop will be Paternoster at St. Basil's. They've been lax, and the Camarilla needs them better behaved before the Second Inquisition notices something. Chapter 4. St. Basil's Hospital. Tucson, Arizona, night of November the 6th. Sunrise was at 6:45 a.m., or is at 6:45 a.m. You drive the Honda around your parking lot a few times, getting a feel for it as the lights come on all over Tucson. The little black convertible handles great as you cut through the Chevy Silverados and Ford Raptors and head uptown. But that's the only thing you can say about it, though. It's got nice pickups and turns well. The electronics are terminally jacked up and loose, and the loose interior panels are as plain as sunrise, evidence of a major previous collision. Still, when you push the go pedal, it goes. You spot the Viper nightclub, accelerate hard, and scream to a halt outside the glass-lined VIP entrance. It's still early and the party won't start for hours, but Leto is already awake. You see his eagle Riga perched nearby. You sort through your maps and guides, checking nearby hotels and making sure that you have a place to stay in Phoenix. If you can't make it there and back in one night, a mortal flunky in an Ed Hardy shirt. If you can't make it back there and back in one night. A mortal flunky in an Ed Hardy shirt runs up to your Honda with a portable push-button lockbox like the ones outside Airbnbs. He also gives you a pass so you can get inside St. Basil's as a janitor and says, he's in the morgue. You toss the box into your messenger bag, clip the pass to a lanyard, and peel out. As always, you've done your research. St. Basil's Hospital in Phoenix is a crowded, underfunded Catholic hospital that began as a psychiatric facility. It was corrupt even before the Canaanites moved in, with multiple scandals involving patient abuse, embezzlement, and accounting fraud that reached the local papers. You've already noted exits nearby houses and good places to park, as well as several abandoned buildings where you can hide if things go bad. As you drive, you think about Julian. You shut him down this morning, but now you're having second thoughts. You don't trust him, of course, but he may be able to offer you some insight. No, I know I can't serve two masters, and the Camarilla have extended an interesting offer. The Camarilla are ruthless and paranoid, but they also represent security and even a bit of dignity. You keep driving. Traffic is thick that evening, so it takes you almost 2 hours to reach your destination. You turn left at a Circle K and have no problem finding a parking spot near a chain-link fence. You step back and examine your car. Satisfied, you can reach it from multiple directions. Your Nixon watch says it's 8:05 p.m. St. Basil's is a Baroque monstrosity that looks like an invader from an older and darker city back east. Its bricks are discolored, its windows high and narrow, and one doomed attempt to modernize the structure just makes it look like a prison with a single watchtower of dingy glass and black steel. You can feel the sickness emanating off of St. Basil's, the impossibility of healing. You watch the main entrance for a few moments, feeling out the rhythms of the patients and staff, then walk around to the emergency entrance. Neon yellow ambulances look like space invaders among the crumbling gray bricks. A few EMTs are outside smoking cigarettes under the no smoking sign. Another entrance is locked and heaped up with trash, broken beds, and furniture that no one got rid of. You don't see any other ways in that aren't locked with mechanical or electronic locks. There aren't even a lot of cameras out here. That's good to know. You shoulder your messenger bag, walk into reception, and immediately understand why the toad gave you a pass key. The place is locked down like a liquor store. The reception desk is behind shatterproof plastic, the elevator is locked with a key code, and the main double doors that lead deeper into the hospital aren't locked, they're watched by a private security guard. The waiting area is full of a bunch of people slumped in slashed up wooden chairs with orange cushions. It smells like apple juice and bleach. Julian babbling something about how modern statecraft is largely a project of internal colonization. Whatever. You have a key. You swipe yourself through. The light flashes red. Oh no. Okay. So of course you try again. Because it's just an old-fashioned magnetic strip, the light flashes red again. The guard, bright yellow taser on his left hip, Ruger LC9 on his right, hasn't looked up from his game of Candy Crush, but one of the receptionists is watching you. Shit. This is your first night working for the Tuscan Camarilla, and things have already gone sideways. You can't just stand here running this busted card through again and again, and this isn't the sort of place you can talk your way into. You scan the waiting patients, counting the junkies. There are a lot. Does one of them have bite marks? Some amateur vampire didn't even lick the wound clean. Or worse, the kindred here is so thin-blooded they don't even have that ability. Maybe you should do something about that sort of thing once you find a way in. There are 3 ways inside from this room. The double doors with the card reader that won't read your card, a staff door that's locked from this side and you can't exactly pick it from in front of the guard, and the elevator, which is locked from the keypad. You saw some unattended entrances outside, but all the ones you noticed had mechanical locks. Maybe you missed one. You could search again, though it wouldn't be easy to skulk around without drawing attention. I can't do any of that because I am starving, apparently. It would be easier to feed inside St. Basil's, but Phoenix is a major city and you are permitted to hunt here. You've already done the necessary research, so you don't bother consulting your guides again. There are bars just east of the hospital where a persuasive and charming vampire could find a little romance and food. Or, if you're not the romantic type, you could head into the suburban blight and feed on someone who's already asleep. Between the bars and the blight are empty lots and underpasses full of derelicts you could jump. For something a little more upscale, there's a semi-private function going on at a hotel within a 10-minute drive. Any prey there might also have money, and you could always use more money. Vampires looking for bagged blood are out of luck in St. Basil since everything is run through the hospital. Local kennels and veterinary clinics are also closely regulated, but your research indicates that the Phoenix Zoo sees occasional use by a local gangrel. I hit a bar and persuade someone to fool around with me so I can feed, considering he's technically a siren with his feeding type. You hit the bars. It's still early, so you have to duck in and out of a performatively seedy dive bars, video game themed bars, and dreary drinking holes until you can find an upscale cocktail bar where the prey you like congregates. This place is nice, with a sort of upscale 1920s supper club theme, thick leather couches, a live band with a woman in a sequined dress singing atop a piano, cigarette girls. They can't sell cigarettes anymore, but they do have snacks. You scan the crowd until you spot someone who looks out of place. It's a hot night and the women are out in slinky dresses or crop tops, but there's a woman watching the show in between glances at a tablet, dressed in a loose knit black sweater and practical shoes. Her hair is pulled back in a messy brown bun that frames a delicate, fine-boned face. Her eyes, when they meet you, are so dark they're almost black. She glances up at you when you approach and says, "Do I look like I'm here to have a good time?" She turns the tablet around to show you the checklist. You have a laugh. She's a health inspector. "How is this place doing?" you ask. "Don't order any of the appetizers." Though she's not here for a good time, you chat her up anyway, fascinated by how the dim blue lights here turn her eyes and hairs into pools of inky blackness. She seems to ignore you for a while, filling out her forms. Then she glances your way and pushes her hair out of her eyes. Buy me a drink, she says. You lead her to a perfect seat, deep in the shadows, invisible from anywhere else in the lounge, and start moving through the steps in a sequence you've known for years. She sips a French 75 and listens to the music. The young woman is hard to get a read on, but she lets you move closer, and by the time she's finished her cocktail, she relaxes into the plush seats. It's not even 10 o'clock, she says, looking at you through the empty glass. You set the glass down and kiss her. The blood sizzles across your gums as you pull it up into your veins and around your skull. Your vision sparkles. Then you close your eyes, and as your prey writhes, gasps a little, and then shudders once, twice. You pull away, and as she slouches against the leather seat. You've got what you needed, and obviously so did she. You kiss the wound closed, wipe your hand off, and then slip away as the health inspector lounges in an ecstatic daze. You return to St. Basil's and step into the reception area, hanging back so no one pays much attention to you. The doors are all still locked and guarded. Let's see what we have here. I'm thinking I'm going to fast talk, but maybe there's... Got no people skills, or street skills, rather. I think I'm going to go and try to talk to the guard. I was going to say darg, that's not a word. Hey, I have a pass. Let's go, you say, looking visibly frustrated, but still professional. The guard frowns, studies your various lanyards, studies you, then buzzes you in. You slip through the door. Hey, wait a minute, he says, but you're already gone. Once you're inside, no one bothers you. The stone walls of St. Basil's are unnaturally cold for an Arizonian autumn, like they imported the chill and damp from some 19th century mental hospital in London or Massachusetts. Though painted lines on the linoleum floors, I can't say linoleum properly, are supposed to lead to intensive care, orthopedics, radiology, etc. According to the paper maps on the walls, they have a fading out or vanishing. They have, turning the near windowless corridors into a labyrinth. Even your meticulous prep work was not enough, and even your sense of empathy, numbed by years of surviving as one of the living dead, can feel a miasma of sorrow and regret that hangs over St. Basil's. I'm only concerned with violations of the Masquerade that might get us in trouble. Do I see any problems? You quickly spot a major problem. There's a stretcher in one hallway that looks like it's been unattended for days. Flies swirl as you pull the blanket off the corpse. You can see chew marks on the neck and wrist. You're not Camarilla, but you instinctively recoil at such an obvious violation of the Masquerade. You sympathize with Prince Leteau. Someone needs to bring this place back in line. You finally find the sign that says morgue, but as you trot down the hall, you hear hushed and panicky voices from a side corridor. St. Basil's is full of quiet, desperate sounds, but you know the smell of fresh blood. You poke your head around the corner. We should get a doctor, a thin woman says with a thin voice. Oh shit, his neck. A dying man lies on the desk of a low-ceilinged office, blood pumping from the wounds of his neck and stomach. On the far side of this painfully thin woman, also helping to hold the dying man down, is the Bruja you recognize as Paternoster. The photo only hinted at something you clearly see. You see clearly in real life. Vampires do not age, but some people are born old, and their spirit keeps aging as their flesh remains immortal. Paternoster should be a good-looking black guy, mid-20s, athletic, short black beard and close-cropped hair, but somehow he looks old, as if there's a bald, fat, tired old man where his shadow should be. Crinkled lines around his eyes and a slowness to his step reveal Paternoster's true age. In real life, he'd be stepping into the grave around now, and it looks like he knows it. He looks up, and his hands, previously holding onto the dying man, slacken. The thin woman wheezes, stumbles backwards into a trash can. Shit, he says. You can almost see the vitae crackling through his veins as he prepares to unleash some Bruja power. Before he can bolt across the office faster than a cheetah and punch your head off, you hold up your messenger bag. Courier, you say. Whatever, Paternoster says as the dying man thrashes. Come and hold Miguel down. You don't give Miguel good odds. Might as well make a good first impression. I help the Paternoster hold the dying man down. The thin woman is too horrified to rise, so you cross the room and grab the dying man by his shoulders, pushing him down. He tries to say something, but blood bubbles out of his mouth. His eyes lock on yours as he dies. You know, Paternoster says, there's no reason to let it go to waste. Paternoster and the thin woman dive onto the corpse, draining it in a matter of seconds. When the Bruja gets up, he dabs it at his lip with the dead man's handkerchief and says, You must work for Leteau. He mentioned a name. Are you Dimitri? No, he's dead. Teddy, right? I guess you did a little better job than Miguel here. He gestures to the willy corpse. Who attacked him? I would like to know that. Let's see. Yeah. Who attacked him? I think I'd like to know if I'm next. No idea, Paternoster says. But I know why Miguel was killed. The Bruja rummages around in the dead man's pocket until he finds a card for the Viper nightclub with a 4-digit written on the back. Give me what you brought. You toss him the lock. He punches the code on the card into a lock, and it opens, revealing a USB. Rita May, get this all cleaned up, Paternoster tells the thin woman. Teddy and I need to talk. There he is. He's got gorgeous gray eyes. Another look at you. Look at him for you if you want to. There you go. Paternoster has done everything he can to make his large, low-ceilinged office look impressive. He's cluttered it with a century's worth of executive power idols from the Art Nouveau, I'm assuming is how you pronounce that, furniture and shining mahogany to the mid-century modern lighting fixtures to the little chrome clicky balls on the desk. The result is a confused aggregation of talismans with no consistency or power to impress. Currently wearing scrubs so he won't draw attention. Paternoster settles himself into an errand chair behind the desk, so his head is haloed by a water stain on the concrete wall. The walls are otherwise lined with vintage automobile ads like in Jay Leno's garage. He opens a laptop and plugs the USB in. He leans back and two katanas appear in his hands as if from nowhere. You blink. It's a trickster Cora taught me, Paternoster says. These are my friends, Duncan and Connor. Excuse me. Had to burp. He swirls the blades through the air. You almost laugh, but shit, he really knows how to handle them. Getting on the wrong side of those blades might be a bad idea. The blade vanishes just as suddenly as they appeared, and Paternoster turns his attention to what's on his screen. The Bruja takes his time reading whatever Leto sent him. You wait. Finally, he leans forward and says, I know that Leto didn't send you here to just deliver a letter. He's supposed to see how we're doing, and the Eagle Prince isn't exactly happy with us. Can't say that I'm impressed either. This place is a masquerade breach waiting to happen. That puts us all in danger. Well, it's going to get a lot worse, Paternoster says. That new director, Corelli, she's spoken with the city about a renovation. Windows, Teddy, floor-to-ceiling windows. And worse, a remote administration system. If that happens, half the kindred here are doomed. I don't want that, neither does Prince Leto. Director Corelli's already installed cameras upstairs. Her monitoring station is right down the hall. She fucking knows who I am, not what I am, but what if she figures it out? You wait for Paternoster's offer. Technically, you've already done your job, but maybe this is an opportunity to move into the Ivory Tower itself. The information Leto sent me is enough to get rid of Director Corelli and return the hospital to my direct control. There won't be any renovations, any threats to my people or Leto's power base, but I need help. My people, they're all right, but look, they're worthless when it comes to this kind of work. I'm going to need help getting this information onto the director's computer so we can make sure that she's stopped. And of course, I'm willing to pay. $1,000 once it's done, plus there will always be a place for you here. It's not much, but a bolt in the morgue is better than a morning in the park, you know? Are you in? Let's see. I'll help, but you need to clean up your act before the Camarilla realizes how bad this place is. Allah gazes with Paternoster. He needs to understand how much trouble he's in. I'm doing what I can, Paternoster snaps. After a brief and acrimonious argument, the Bruja throws up his hands. Fine, fine, he slumps back into his errand and rubs his temples. You're right. Leto was right. They're lower than dogs, and I need to keep them in line. I'll deal with it. He swallows and glares at you, and you know that whatever Paternoster will have to do to deal with it, he partially blames you. He's going to be difficult to work with going forward. The black rotary phone on Paternoster's desk rings. Hello? What? Well, the blood can't be every... Surely that's an exact... Okay, fine. Okay, I'll get there. Okay, 5 minutes. What? No, Sissy, you're thinking of Rosemary's Baby. No, Carrie had the prom scene with all the pigs. Yes, it was Sissy Spacek, I'm sure. That much blood? Jesus. Oh, okay, hold. 5 minutes. He hangs up. I need to go deal with a thing, he says. He opens an Art Deco bureau in black lacquer and brushed aluminum, pulls out a stack of scrubs, sizes you up for a second, then tosses you a pair. He rummages around in a bin and until he finds a lanyard with a picture that looks kind of like you. Wear these, no one will pay attention to you. You're in the top left. Top left? The lanyard has an aluminum key attached to it. In the morgue. Don't worry, it's not cold, no sunlight, and everyone down there works for me, so you're safe. Get a feel for the place. Director Corelli's office is guarded even at night, so I'm going to need you to look around for a way in. Once you're ready, we'll sneak inside and plant all this incriminating evidence on her computer. Right now, I need to go deal with something. Show yourself out. You change, stuff your regular clothes into your messenger bag, and head to the morgue rather. You slab in, the over left. It looks cozy. It's made up like a hospital bed with sheets and everything. You've slept in worse places. You're not alone in the morgue, and that evening you meet the locals. The skeletally thin Rita May is a caitiff of Ventru descent, a vain and prim-fallen aristocrat who can't seem to keep blood off her lips. Paternoster you've already met. The Nosferatu Stercorius sleeps above you, but he keeps a larger haven in the basement with his rats. Quote, the eagle prince gets an eagle, the rat beggar gets the rat, Rita May quips. Others are in and out, a Japanese Malkavian who claims he was martyred in the 17th century and resurrected by Jesus Christ, two thin bloods covered in scabs that never go away, and a woman who might be a ghost or some other thing you don't know too much about. They're sad, poisonous little creatures. The increasingly elitist Camarilla would be disgusted to count them as members. You spend the next few nights just getting a feel for the hospital, its deranged layout and its ugly secret little corners where the sick huddle and the vampires feed. You listen in on doctors and insurance executives as they conspire and embezzle, nurses as they sell opiates to patients and people waiting outside, doped-up patients who keep asking what happened to their cell phones and if their families know they're there. You check out urgent care, where accident victims are forced to sign whatever it is put in front of them before they're brought inside. The furnace, where surgeons dispose of evidence of their botched operations. In the lobby, where it seems the same people are always waiting for help that won't come. And of course, you spend times upstairs. Outside Director Corelli's office, the guards never leave, but her security isn't impenetrable. You just need to find a way through. It would be easier with Paternoster, but he's busy dealing with one crisis after another. With your scrubs and lanyard, you're able to move freely around the hospital, but you're starting to feel watched. You're invisible to the regular guards, the dull-eyed men and women with black St. Basil polo shirts and bright yellow tasers. But you keep seeing people with short-cropped military boots and black windbreakers that are a little too heavy for the weather outside. The Black Jackets operate out of a sealed, windowless office separated from the mostly abandoned rehab services wing by the particle boards, walls, and old office equipment. And they keep looking at you out of the corner of their eyes. The more time you spend in the administrative wing, the more they look at you. It's different people every time, but you're sure they're professionals. You're not sure they know what you are, but there are too many of them, and they follow you too closely whenever you're in the public area of St. Basil's. You don't want to approach the director's office until you know more, but you'll have to be more careful. Too many mistakes will expose you, and Paternoster's followers, a clear violation of the Masquerade. Why not? I use a blood sorcery ritual to track a guard home. This thaumaturgical ritual requires only vitae, a scrap of ribbon, and a complex Latin incantation. You note the appearance of the guard you want to follow, conjure his image in your mind, and recite the words as the ribbon burns and your vitae boils. When you open your eyes, you can perceive the guard's presence as a red flicker at the edge of your vision. You've timed your ritual well when you're able to head into the parking lot just as the guard ships rotate. There's a lot of regular security out there lately, so you don't try anything in the parking lot. Just slide into the driver's seat of your Honda and accelerate smoothly onto the Black Canyon Highway behind the target's gleaming white F-350. The guard's first stop is the Dairy Queen drive-thru. You follow him in as he orders a Blizzard. He gets his Blizzard, then he hands something over along a credit card. Interesting. You take a picture of the handoff. Next, a Circle K. You pretend to fill your car's tank as he walks into the convenience store. He and the cashier step away from the cameras, talk for a few minutes. Another quick exchange. Oh, okay. This is good news. He's just dealing drugs. You take more pictures. After the Circle K, he heads into a quiet residential community and pulls into his driveway. You park behind a neighbor's house, then roll forward and lights off. He's in for the night. There's a name on the There's a name on the mailbox. You take a few more pictures, but it's after midnight, and he draws the shades. You park the Honda outside a bar a few blocks away, order a beer that you won't drink, and start putting together what you've learned. It doesn't take a genius researcher to punch in a few Google image searches to get and piece together who and what these guards are. Once a moderately well-regarded private security firm called Roadrunner They were involved in some kind of illicit opioid trading a few years back, though the company itself disappeared, and it looks like old faces are back at St. Basil's and still running opiates across the Southwest. There's just one more thing you want to check. Excuse me. You already know of the many Second Inquisition political fronts, militia groups, and other affiliations, as well as their favorite suppliers and manufacturers. You cross-reference all the information you have, and you have some good news. These Roadrunners and the Second Inquisition aren't connected in any way. The Roadrunners might be dangerous, but they're not Second Inquisition. The Roadrunner guards are busier now, but they're not paying you any attention. You spend a few nights scouting the hospital director's office, figuring out ways to get inside. Patermuster has been available for several nights, even though you've made it clear you both need to act soon to make the upload. He returns to the morgue before 7 p.m., just as you're getting dressed after a shower. I like to imagine that he's wearing a bright red robe. I want to know, the Brujas shouts back over his shoulder, his ragged voice echoing down the halls. Answers, or you're cut off. The thin, pitiful wails of the ghouls reach your ears as you zip up your shell jacket. Now he's wearing a shell jacket. Denied vitae, the blood of vampires, St. Basil's ghouls will soon resume aging if they don't go mad from withdrawal first. That's a serious threat Patermuster's making. The Bruja stomps past you, his eyes burning, and slams his fist into one of the slab doors, denting the metal. Then he rips off its hinges and flings it against the far wall. You know the reputation of the rebels for their terrible fury, so you wait for the storm to pass. Finally, Patermuster squeezes his temples and crumples against the wall of the morgue. He's ditched his scrubs for a tweed jacket and a bow tie, like a mid-century doctor on holiday. What happened, you ask? Rita May is dead. Rita May, the painfully thin caitiff slept in the slab Patermuster just tore apart. Someone cut off her head. I found the body last night. I was stuck outside the hospital with it all day. I'm gonna find who did this, Teddy, and I'm gonna kill him. He glares at you with red-rimmed eyes as if you might be responsible. You're not sure you have time for this, but Patermuster looks haunted. I'm sure I know a ritual that will help me with the autopsy. I don't know what that's doing to my hunger. I should probably check that. Oh well. The headless emaciated corpse is waiting for you on a metal gurney beneath a fluorescent lamp. Older vampires crumble to bones or dust upon final death, but Rita May was young. Decomposition is noticeable, but the body is still intact. You start with a simple ritual from the path of blood sorcery 101 for Clan Tremere, tasting the dead woman's blood. You learn the details of her lineage and age, but nothing to reveal how she died. So you tell Patermuster to step out of the room. Recognizing a sorcerer's need for privacy, he doesn't even ask questions, just steps around the corner as you begin a ritual that scholars claim originated from within the Sabbat, the Sword of Cain, a vampire death cult that fled to the Middle East to wage eternal war against the eldest vampires. The Sabbat are gone now, but some of their dark secrets still remain. This ritual is one of them. You check again to make sure that no one is watching, then open Rita May with a scalpel and begin your unnatural autopsy. The secret work is all at the beginning, and when you're done, you invite Patermuster back in. The head was severed using a sharp, heavy blade, not a claw, which is always a possibility. No one's borrowed Duncan or Connor, Patermuster says, patting his invisible swords. The other noticeable injury is the puncture mark in her back that pierced the heart. You use tweezers to pull splinters out of the flesh. Staked, Patermuster says, discounting the unlikely possibility that Rita May fell out of a window and landed upside down on an upside-down table leg. That narrows down the search to people who know how to paralyze a vampire. But more importantly, there's a noticeable deformation around Rita May's back. Whoever slammed the stake into her back did it with superhuman force. That narrows it down even further. Someone used their undead strength to guarantee that the stake would pierce flesh and muscle to reach its target. Finally, though you have no head to examine, your sorcerer's insight reveals minor runes around the clavicle, just below the clean severing line. Corrosion caused by Rita May's body crumbling upon her final death, maybe. But you also see similar wounds on her toes and ankles and one on her palm. You examine her clothes, a long dress, open-toed sandals. The dress is chewed up at the hem. Oh, Patermuster says as you hear the scuttering of tiny horrors. I know what those are. The rat bites. You nod. Whoever destroyed Rita May summoned creatures of the night to attack her, then drove a stake into her back with superhuman strength. Any powerful vampire could develop those powers, but there aren't any powerful vampires here, except Patermaster. And he doesn't control rats. Stikorius does, the Nosferatu. It's easy to forget how fast one of the rebels can move. Patermaster flashes down the hallway and then down the stairs into Stikorius' private haven. He's a black outline in the glow of a single yellow bulb, and then the bats descend. And then the bats get torn into pieces because Patermaster's pull his two katanas out of nothing and turns into an undead cuisine art for a few seconds. The bats patter to the ground, halved or quartered. Patermaster flicks Duncan and Connor, splashing blood on the walls and ceilings, and then keeps going. You step carefully so you don't slip as the Buha stalks forward, covered in blood and wings. Then Stikorius bolts out of the shadows, cracking the towers with the unnatural strength of his jump. Patermaster dodges faster than you can track as both of his swords slam into the Nosferatu's ribcage. Stikorius clatters and then screams as he tumbles end over end with both swords through his chest. He rolls to a stop at your feet. You can feel the rebel's fury boiling off of him. This is not just mindless rage, but righteous disgust at what the sewer rat has done. Murderer! Patermaster whispers. He wrenches the sword out of Stikorius, twisting them as they come out, and the fallen vampire groans in pain.
She was... Rita May betrayed you, Master. Not me,
Stikorius says.
She was moving opioids with the Roadrunners. Those black jacket guards, she realized and knew she would have...
We don't destroy people for what they might do, Patermaster says. Are you a prince? He kicks Stikorius across the dark and dingy room. He smashes through a chair before rolling to a halt against a rusted filing cabinet, but then the rebel sees you and stops. The word prince made him hesitate. His authority is considerable here in his domain, but Patermaster is no prince. You don't represent the Prince of Tuscan, let alone whoever runs Phoenix after the Second Inquisition and the Beckoning depopulated it, but Prince Leto will want a full accounting of what has happened here. That's a complication for both you and Patermaster. Let's see. Neither of us have responsibility here. I can drive him to Prince Leto or whoever runs Phoenix, but I'm not losing my head because we have overstepped authority. You're right, Patermaster says. Even today, elders have a habit of coming out of the woodwork and demanding obedience, or claiming that you violated some unwritten code or another. I don't want you driving Stikorius back to the Tuscan, though. That would give Leto too high an opinion of himself. And here in Phoenix, there's only, let's see what you can just, let's just do what we can tonight, and I can worry about the rest of it once you're done here. You're not sure where Patermaster got the broken chair leg. It appears in his hand a split second before he drives it through the Nosferatu's heart. Until matters are sealed here, that should keep Stikorius from destroying anyone else without my permission. You and Patermaster finish your investigation by cataloging everything in Stikorius' private haven and making sure that there's nothing valuable. There isn't, except for his filing cabinet, which contains hard copies about the Roadrunners' agents' distribution network. Finally, the two of you head back to the morgue. It's been a successful night, though the moment the Rita May mystery has been solved, Patermaster starts worrying out loud about the promised expansion of the hospital. St. Basil's Hospital Morgue, Phoenix, Arizona, night of November the 11th. Hey, that's my birthday. You'd love to see it. Sunrise at 6:49 a.m. It has to be tonight. Mondays are frantic all day, then quiet all night, with frequent call-outs among the St. Basil guards. The Roadrunner guards are also unusually quiet on Mondays since they're the busiest on weekends, then lie low for a few days. After the destruction of Rita May and the revelation of her involvement with the opioid sales, St. Basil's kindred have been subdued, which is good. They will stay out of trouble. Excuse me. You and Patermaster have spent enough nights surveying Dr. Corelli's office that you have a good sense of its layout. It's at the far end of the executive administration wing, behind a door that's locked and guarded for the moment the director leaves in the evening until she returns an hour after dawn. There are normally 2 guards except on Monday, when only one is on duty. The only other entrance is through a high, narrow window that you'd have to climb down from the ceiling to reach. The office itself is sparse, with a computer, a meeting table, and an old metal filing cabinet full of hard copies that the doctors and hospital administrators constantly have access. No wonder she wants to upgrade this place. The computer is an ancient desktop model, which makes it unexpectedly secure. You'll have to physically access it. The good news is that Paternoster clung to the wall outside the window and watched directly correctly into the password last night, so you have access. Love that for you, Paternoster. The executive administration wing is blanketed with cameras, but that's where Paternoster comes in. His office is in the right down the hall from the security monitoring station, and he's waiting to throw the big reset switch, which will give you the time you need to act. Then all you need to do is reach the director's old desktop unit and enter the password. Tonight might be my last chance to feed. I do that before the break-in. Let's see. I do not want to screw this up expeditiously. Let's try the bagged blood route. St. Basil's keeps bagged blood behind an old combination lock, but I'm smart enough to get into the vault. St. Basil's near total failure to change with the times makes its blood and plasma center unexpectedly secure. Every street-level bloodsucker knows how to spoof an RFID signal or clone a keycard, but it's a big metal safe with combination locks. Combination lock poses an unexpected challenge. In fact, you soon realize it's an insurmountable challenge. Though you spin the wheels and listen, you can't seem to get anywhere. Damn, you thought you were better than this. But just as you reconsider your strategy, you hear footsteps behind you. You get away from the safe and back to the main quarters just as a guard comes around the corner. He walks past you, then turns and says, "Hey, wait!" You don't wait, you run forward, outpacing the guard, but you've drawn their attention. That's going to be dangerous going forward. You hurry back to the morgue and drink your fill. Cool. So I've got drinks. The guard takes Well, if I drink my fill, I'm gonna do what Paternoster did. I know a sorcerer's ritual that makes clinging to the window easier. Let's hope I don't fall to my death. Oh boy. I believe I have messed this up. Most of your magic requires only vitae in an ancient language, but this one requires vitae in a spider. Fortunately, the hospital is full of corpses. Corpses breed flies, and flies bring spider. You grab a suitable specimen. If Paternoster can climb, so can you. The crime doer's grab bag you brought from Covenant shop doesn't include a glass cutter, but Paternoster rustles one up from one of his cative. You get up onto the roof, place the spider eel into your mouth, and perform a brief but efficacious ritual. But when you look around, you spot a new camera they must have installed the other day. Fortunately, Paternoster is in the security station, monitoring station. You tell him to shut everything down. You then climb down. The bricks prove almost impossible to hold on to, however. You scratch at the glass but can't get a good grip. However, you configure yourself. You spot another window right next to the director's office with cracks all around it. That will make holding on to it easier. You slice through the window and drop into another executive office, then look around for a way in. Maybe there are vents or even a connecting door, but you don't see anything. When you carefully open the door, 3 guards are standing there with yellow tasers drawn and pointed at you. You bolt down the corridor, but they give chase. Oh boy. Before you can consider what to do, someone pulls an alarm. Patients panic and swarm into the corridors, buying you a few seconds to act. Unfortunately, it also gives the guards a few time to pull their pistols. One of them, for reasons you'll never understand, fires twice into the ceiling, and the patients just lose their minds at that, screaming and running in every direction. Let's see. Let's just dodge and weave. I'm probably going to get shot a few times. You try and run for it, but patients are everywhere screaming and slowing you down. The guards open fire in a panic, killing patients in their zeal to take you down. One round hits you in the shoulder and you're knocked against the wall, but bullets don't do much against vampires. You stumble around the corner, but more guards are coming up, along with regular police. You sprint down another corridor, easily outpacing and run for the parking lot. My God, this is just going off the rails. Okay. You hit the parking lot at a run, then skid to a halt where you spot 4 police officers with automatic rifles getting out of a blue-black SUV, but they're not paying attention to you. Gunshots pop from a nearby window. The cops scramble for cover, then return fire. You can't see who they're shooting at, maybe roadrunners, but the firefight gives you time to act. You can see your Honda on the far side of the parking lot from the cops. Another vehicle screams into the lot. It's an old Ford station wagon. The man driving it has the gray and crew cut and hard eyes of a veteran police officer or private security specialist, but he doesn't seem to understand the extent of the chaos. He jumps out of the station wagon and shouts to one of the police officers. Before the officers can react, the shooters from the windows open fire, dropping the man and blowing out 2 of the Ford's tires. More of St. Basil's guards spill into the hospital's entry. I have completely screwed this entire place up. My God. They open fire without ever looking, shattering glass doors. You dodge behind a concrete bollard as they hesitate, wondering whether to break cover and close in on you. As they consider their options, patients start to fleeing out of the building and around them. One drops with a bullet in her back while the others runs to safety. Oh boy. Gotta be a smarter way. Alright, he looks around. Despite the bullets flying everywhere, you force yourself to look around. First, you remember that you parked near a fence, so you have multiple ways to your car. The fence stretches around most of the parking lot. It's just a few places from the bollard behind which you're hiding. And if you could just get over it, you could creep around the parking lot and without anyone, the guards at the entryway or the police in the middle of the parking lot shooting at you. Also, it looks like a pile of busted up furniture is expanded almost to the fence line here. You could hide in the trash. It's not dignified, but you'd be under full cover and no one would have a clear shot. You're just starting to make plans when a bullet misses your face by less than an inch. The guards at the entryway are advancing on your position. Oh boy, well, let's see what happens if I try hiding in the trash. When the guards stop shooting for a moment, you break cover and dive into the old heap of trash and old furniture. A stray bullet hits you in the back and blows out a lung. Fortunately, you don't need lungs. Spitting blood, you throw yourself into the trash where no one can see you. A few more shots fly your way, but there are no lights over the trash and people are shooting blind. You try to keep to the darkness, but guards close in. You're forced to break cover moments before they find you. You run through the parking lot until you've got a Mercedes Sprinter between you and the cops. The remaining guards at the entryway keep shooting and even manage to shatter the Sprinter's window. But you stay. How many bullets do these people have? You stay low, circle around the cops, and reach your Honda. You start the car up and peel out just as another round of small arms fire hammers you. Bullets stitch up and down the side of the Honda. You swerve erratically but manage to keep control. You accelerate hard as the final shot blows out your rear windshield. Then you slow down and drive as casually as you can once you're in traffic. As 4 police cruisers scream past you, going in the other direction. You make it about 100 feet down the road before your car's engine explodes. I just can't catch a break. Poor Teddy. Fighting your terrified beast, you wrestle the burning Honda to the side of the road as police cars scream past you and grab your messenger bag before more flames spread across the hood. So much for that ride. You already scoped out a motel, so you go there and pay for a $50 shower. It's clean and no one asks questions. Then you check the Greyhound schedules. A late night bus arrives in half an hour. You can make it if you clean up fast, but you'll be back in Phoenix under 4 hours before sunrise. You buy a ticket online and dry your clothes. So it looks like the hospital, stay as it is. You doubt Prince Lateau will be happy, but then again, you're only a courier. At least Powder Muster is not outright hostile to you. As the Greyhound rolls through the desert, your thoughts turn to everything you learned about the Road Hunter Guards and their opioid smuggling. You could certainly put what you've learned to use. Yeah, I'm gonna give all of that to the Camarilla since I just royally botched all of that. All of that because I tried to hang on the side of a window. I blame those guys. They're the clowns here. I made one mistake and they burned their entire operation down. Their fault. Not the vampires, of course, the opioid smugglers. You'll stop at a print shop back in Tuscan and make hard copies of everything you've learned, then hand it over to Prince Lateau in a really fancy-looking folder. Camarilla loved that sort of thing. You're back in Tuscan by 3 a.m. Another job well done. Early the next night, you walk to the Viper. One of Prince Lateau's people recognizes you and hands you your payment. You take a moment to make sure the money adds up. You return to your parking garage, secure your haven, rechecking the security systems you established upon moving in, and go to sleep. That day you dream of flying, but this isn't a regular flying dream. No, this isn't even a dream. A memory, or is it real? You're in an old single-engine prop plane high above the desert. You can almost reach out and touch the moon. You spot the Italian fighter plane too late, and a moment later its twin Vickers are ripping into the wings of your Albatross D3. You twist through the air, but it's getting late, and the rising currents of hot air you rely on are almost depleted. Bullets shred your engine. The black smoke would choke you if you breathed. For the past 3 weeks, it had seemed as if all of the Sahara held only 2 planes. In seconds, you realize it will hold only 1. Flames spread across your cockpit, but you know this is a memory. You tell yourself that you already survived this, but you're struggling to remember how as smoke swirls around you. Let's see. I listened to the sound of the wind over the damaged wings, using that to guide me down to the safest possible landing. People on the ground respect a pilot's bravery and skill, but rarely her keen awareness of our surroundings. To hear the wind changing, to feel the shifts of gravity and inertia, to see a cloud and know what it foretells, this, more than anything, is what has kept you in the air, until now. But even as your albatross burns, you rely on those skills one last time, listening to the sounds of your shredded wings, using the control stick to counterbalance their disintegration, and then you stay aloft for just long enough. And then you slam into a dune. Your body tumbles through the air and lands in a shattered heap on the nearby slope. You smell burning wood and metal, but not burning flesh. As you drag yourself away from the wreckage, you contemplate what you've learned these past few weeks. October 1917. Before this war, you kept to the ways of the Banu Hakim, if not exactly to the ways of the mortal empire in which you exist. And in these times of chaos, you have come to respect the elders in their ways even more, and not just your own elders, even the traditions of the Camarilla have earned your grudging respect. Princes and primogen, laws and mutual respect, backed up by the wisdom and power of the elders. As the world grows more complex in these modern nights, that is the only way Canaanites can thrive. The traditions, however they are called, keep us safe from savagery and endless war. Yeah, why not? You're no fool. You've met plenty of cruel, selfish oafs among the elders, but the system itself works. And in these modern nights, full of cameras and contrivances, the laws of secrecy, what the Camarilla call the Masquerade, are the most important. They must be enforced with the might and wisdom of the elders. You will support those laws if you can. Conviction gained. That stuff keeps us safe. We're gonna feed. You head to the Viper to make sure you don't commit any faux pas while hunting in Tuscan. Or faux pas? Don't flame me in the comments for that. There you meet Alexander, Leteau's favorite retainer, who explains the situation. After the destruction of the last prince and before Prince Leteau's consolidation of power, hunting in Tuscan was a dog-eat-dog business with frequent and costly breaches of the Masquerade. Leteau put an end to all that. First, there's no hunting anywhere near the Viper. Second, the more you've proven yourself, the more risks you're allowed to take while hunting. You have not proven yourself, Alexander explains. That being the case, you are limited to the quote-unquote kiddie pool. He's very proud of himself for knowing that term. In exchange for a small consideration each time, Alexander will provide you with access to blood dolls, cups of fresh blood, or caged animals, your preference. You know, that's actually a fairly clever and innovative system. I'm impressed. Yes, Alexander says. I believe a young Azamite recommended it a few years back when that clan first started to buddy up with the Camarilla. He had an app. We don't use many apps anymore, but I handle the numbers on the ledger. And remember that this is only for our junior members. Dove and the other senior members of the court hunt freely and joyfully, but we lowly servants, our lot is not to be joyful, is it? Anyway, enough philosophy. Let us turn to the issue of remuneration, since we cannot provide the service for free. After a brief negotiation, ferocious but not uncivilized, you and Alexander agree to a payment of $150 per drink of blood. If you want to reduce that price, you'll have to improve your standing with the Camarilla. The ghoul opens a ledger. My only question is this: do you prefer blood dolls, the live prey or stored blood? I know you prefer live prey, but more kindred. These knights are squeamish about what they are. I don't care. Whatever's cheaper, more convenient. Very courteous of you, Teddy, Alexander says, though not so courteous that I can offer a discount. Whatever we have available, though, know that it will be clean and treated. We have civilized people here. Give me my blood. I hit the wrong thing, I think. Or did I not? Okay, the fact that everyone in the world doesn't know about vampires tells you fairly significant. Breaches of the Masquerade can be absorbed without affecting the world too much. Over a long enough timeline, people forget and people die. But in the short term, you can't just hide, you need to act. More accurately, you need to spread disinformation that hides your identity and your movements. Hunters that are already alerted to your existence need to be redirected and misdirected In short, you need to waste their time and frustrate them so that they seek out higher priority targets. And with the Second Inquisition watching the internet, you're going to have to go analog. You need to get in touch with local news services and use them to spread disinformation. Okay, I made sure I've clicked on it this time. I spend some money and acquire some blood. I mend my wounds fully. Thank you. Give me some more blood. Did I just not get any XP for that? That's crazy. Let me check, because it normally tells me, I think. Humanity's fine, hunger's fine, willpower's fine. I've got one Masquerade violation. Could have sworn it shows you, show stats as numbers. Guess I just didn't get any. Well, that's most unfortunate. Alright. I guess I didn't get any XP for that. Yeah, I need a car. Since my last one just blew up. What's the cheapest one you have? Can't even afford that. I'm not reading the descriptions of the cars. Can I just not afford any of the cars? That's okay. Can't go to Elena's. I need a car, but I don't want to pay a lot. But yeah, whatever. It's time to call in a favor. After some hedging, you find a payphone, call the Viper, and explain your woeful situation to Dell, who used to be a courier. She's annoyed, but Prince Leto needs all the couriers he can. Head down to the impact lot on West Franklin, she says. They're not directly connected with us, but they're okay. Pick up anything there that starts. You get out of the Viper before Doe can start all that. That's why I couldn't go anywhere, because I didn't have a car. That makes sense. Yeah, I need a gun, preferably. How much money? I didn't spend anything. I just picked up a car. All right, Covenant Pawn Shop is still next to a salon. Is still next to a nail salon, and across from Title Max. It looks like an auto repair shop has been shut down. The auto repair shop has been shut down. Circling to the rear, you don't see any cars except the owner's pumpkin orange Datsun 240Z and a van for deliveries. You head inside past an expanded selection of jewelry and an expanded security system to protect it, to where Lena is reading a copy of, I don't know how to say that, computer magazine and trying to rebuild an antique laptop. When she spots you, she replaces her plastic safety goggles with her Victorian railway glasses, takes a bit of iron and plastic shavings out of her short blonde hair, and moves to where you're guessing she can reach a shotgun. There's not a lot of charm here, but there's a lot of stuff. How much do your guns cost? Oh, beautiful. Covenant Pawn Shop has a larger selection of sidearms than last time, but a lot of the stuff is junk. And the rest of it, give me a second, y'all. Okay. Rest of it is either too low caliber for your line of work or too impossible to conceal. You need the perfect quick draw and shoot a vampire gun. Two meet your criteria. The first is a Springfield Armory XDM. $400, Elena says, handing you the 45 so you can check how it feels. It looked bulky in the case, but it settles easily into your hands. Elena watches you as you rack the slide and sight down the barrel. That is a great weapon, and you can afford it, but you'll keep looking at the other pistol. The Nighthawk Tactical Custom 1911, a 9mm, not a 45, but it'll knock a vampire over as well as the XDM. When Elena reluctantly hands it over, it feels like someone built the Nighthawk just for your hand. The balance, the feel, everything is perfect. $4,500, and I'll throw the trigger in for free. You shake your head at that and put it back. You can't afford that. I will take the normal pistol. Elena lets you pick from a wide variety of holsters and throws in 2 extra magazines with your purchase of the Springfield Armory XDM. Don't rob any gas stations within 2 blocks of here, she says, as you secure the weapon under your shell jacket. Okay. I'm going to leave Covenant for the moment. And I'm going to look for someplace I can hone my physical abilities, like a gym. For once you have your pick of late night options, since quite a few Tuscan gyms are open 24 hours. but you want more than just a gym. You want a place where you can conduct all kinds of physical training, and maybe even a place where you can employ specialists to help you out. Finally, you remember a former blood doll turned useful contact you met from one of the first times you were in Tuscan. You hop online and find that your old contact Simon runs a gym called Paragon Fitness not far away. You head there and find an impressive looking modern gym. Simon is watching two kickboxers practice their technique. You renew your acquaintance with the now middle aged athlete and ask after their unusual facilities. Gym, shooting range, regular and vehicle obstacle course, and we hold fights every Monday and Friday nights. I still leave that thing in Tijuana, so you're welcome at any time. Just don't let anyone know what you are. We have citizens in here. I'm gonna bolster my firearms, please. Also, give me a second. I have to fix that. Show stats as dots. Much easier on the eyes. Okay. Leave Paragon Fitness. Go back to Paragon Fitness. Cool. Cool. How many of these do I have left? Let's see what I can do for my charisma. I head to the Viper nightclub to hone my social abilities. Prince Leto has a strict rule against anyone but him hunting the Viper's dance floor. But this is a safe place for you to hone your social skills around kindred and kind alike, as well as an opportunity to enjoy yourself for a few hours. You park your Geo Metro in the lot across the street and head inside. You're instantly enveloped by the pounding EDM. Prince Leto is visible in the private glass box overhead. Alexander, watching from one of the balconies, tracks you almost instantly, but once he's sure you're not going to try to feed you, he bids you adieu. From here, you can circulate freely up to the balconies, down to the dance floor, out to the private and semi-private rooms, or up to Elysium. Wherever you go, you'll be able to hone your social skills. Yeah, I'm gonna use my last 3 points to get my persuasion skill maxed out. Very nice. Let's see. So now we're gonna go back to. Actually, no, we're not. We are going. Yeah, why not? Let's give me a moment. My blood sorcery is at 2. Fun. I just wanted to check on that. A vampire's haven is where he can escape the sun come dawn. It's also where you can hone your supernatural powers. However, this dingy converted office in the middle of a parking complex isn't really a haven. You've struggled to master your supernatural arts while on the road, constantly running from place to place, but now that you're in Tuscan for at least a few months, it might be time to put down roots and establish a secure haven for which to develop your powers. You only have a cheap room, maybe something nicer and more secure will help you advance disciplines to higher levels. I get in my Geo Metro and head somewhere else. I pick up the parcel for my sire and take it to her research lab. Chapter 5, Kiowa Xenogenetics. Oh boy. Tuscan, Arizona, night of November 15th. Sun rises at 6:53 a.m. The parking lot outside the Viper is a mess, even though it's too early for the party to really start. As you turn in, you have to slam on your brakes as a piss-yellow Chevy Nova SS roars past you and accelerates the wrong way down West Alameda. Oh, asshole. Do I have to make the roll down gesture? A clear, slightly accented voice says. Do people still understand that, or is it an anachronism? Prince Leto himself is standing outside, dressed. That's Prince Leto. Oops, that's not his voice. Prince Leto himself is standing outside, dressed in white and flanked by a mortal flunky you remember from last time. He tries to say something, but a GMC Denali rumbles past, and he has to wait. Finally, he says, You have 2 deliveries this time, Teddy. It's the wrong voice, too. I'll get it back later. What? Is there a problem? Anything I can help with? If I can impress Prince Leto, I can improve my position in the Camarillo. Your response is drowned out by a Kawasaki bike that revs up and takes off. At least its rider goes right down the street. This will help you. I'm going to be struggling with this until I get it. This will help you if Dr. Cole is difficult, Prince Leto says, handing you a letter of introduction written on vellum. In Latin, The laminated English copy is for this facility's human security. It basically says that no one should be able to stop you from speaking with Dr. Call. It's good to feel important. He also gives you a portable push-button lockbox that contains the actual message. What about the other delivery, you ask? Someone will find you on the road, the prince says. Look for a red Corolla. That's dangerous and complicated, but Prince Leto has already walked away to talk to another courier. There are, 5 in this parking lot? You don't recognize any of the others. Most of them must be Prince Leto's personal flunkies. What the hell is going on? You push it out of your mind. You know where you're going. Whatever finds you on the road will find you. You peel out. Excuse me. It's a 9-hour drive, and you've researched motels and abandoned buildings starting at Albuquerque in case traffic or trouble leaves you stranded. Fortunately, traffic is light. You drive east on the 10, and past the spot where you ditched your Honda CRX. Idly curious, you spend 20 minutes exploring the abandoned filing station, but the white is long gone. Oh, it's my first car. You wonder if Dove was able to track down her sire. A few minutes later, you pass a garage marked with Julian's karambit and make a mental note of its location. The hard copy of your map on your dashboard insists that you're going from one town to the next, but you don't see anything, just a road of distant lights from the highway. Even Albuquerque is just a blur of low buildings and exit ramps. Past Santa Fe, the landscape grows more lush, with scrubby trees lining the highway and the distant hills dotted with green, subtle hues visible to your sensitive eyes. The drive takes you through lots of towns named after bigger towns. The landscape grows rocky and pale cliffs rise beside the road. You stop at the last all-night gas station to fill your Geo Metro's tank, then head into a wild and ungoogled landscape that stretches flat all the way to St. Louis, for all you know. There's no radio out here, so you try to enjoy the sound of the engine, because you don't want anything on your disposable phones. No trouble, though. No tails, no weird unmarked cars, no circling eagles, for now. Researching in video call has been difficult. Despite being her child, you know little of her history. She began her unlife assisting one of your clan's most well-regarded warlocks. When the beckoning lured elders to the Middle East and Second Inquisition destroyed the Tremir's most important chantry in Vienna, she grabbed as many resources as she could and fled into the desert. She has always dreamed of breeding animals with human-quality blood, and that appears to be her latest project. You're not sure if she's been successful, but you know that her facility, Kiowa Xenogenetics, has connections to biomedical firms all around the world. Too many connections, in fact. Those connections don't exactly represent a breach of the Masquerade, but the whole situation is too close to daylight for Prince Leto's liking. No wonder he's shutting her down. You'd probably wipe KXG off the map if you could. She isn't going to like that, and vampires tend to shoot the messenger. You're between towns, about an hour from the legal limits of your sire's territory, when headlights appear behind you. They're coming up hard. You shift to feel the weight of the gun you wear under your shell jacket, then instinctively put a hand on the messenger's bag where you keep your data destined for Dr. Call. The headlights blow past you, then the vehicle spins out, throwing up dust and grit. It skids to a halt 100 yards up the road, its headlights pointing out into the big expanse of nothing that waits outside every New Mexico highway. You slow down when you see the red Corolla, or to be more precise, the maroon Toyota AE86. This is the car Leto mentioned. The little hatchback looks to be in good shape. What is it, 85, 86? It's an import, regular left-hand drive. You slam on the brakes and swerve as a figure stumbles onto the road. You spin out like the AE6 and sputter to a halt in the gravel after that wipeout. You take a moment to line up your mirrors, and then you back up so you're next to the Corolla. Carlos is leaning against the passenger door, looking ashen and clutching his stomach. You haven't seen him since your first visit to the Tuscan Elysium. Leto's servant Alexander said Carlos was a cop. That's a good thing for a vampire to keep on the payroll, though this guy doesn't look like a cop now. He looks like roadkill. It takes Carlos a moment to focus on you. He's saying something, but you can't hear him over the pounding beats of Kerncraft 400. "Turn that down," you shout. He nods vaguely and crawls back into his car to turn the music down, leaving a smear of blood on the door handle. "Daddy, Prince Leto actually sent you? Effing usurper. You have something for me?" you ask. You glance back towards the road, but it's quiet. Just a few cars drifting past, and none of them can see you or the AE86. Carlos holds up a ruggedized plastic Pelican case in matte black, like you'd use to transport a pistol or a really good optical camera. Leto wants this delivered to a waiting plane. Where? He turns the case around, and an address and a key are tapped to the other side. Blood has stained the tape. You consult your mental map of New Mexico. It's 2 hours south, and you're not going south. And it needs to be there by 6 a.m. The plane can't wait longer than that. You just shake your head. A 6 a.m. delivery gives you no time to get under cover. Calm the F down, Carlos says. There's a whole bunch of trailers just up the road from where you're going. Key's right there. He holds up the case again. Just do the job. Ugh. Screw me. Let's see. Are you okay? I don't want this guy dying on me. I might even try and stop that from happening. What, you want to kiss me and make it feel better? Carlos snaps. I'm fine. Still got some of Dove's vitae in me. He concentrates, sweat pouring from his face. After a moment, he's breathing more easily, though his skin is still ashen. Deliver this parcel, he says, throwing it through his driver's side window and onto your lap. Or Prince Leteau will make Riga peck your eyes out while I watch. Don't let the Inquisition get it. Or the Anarchs. Anarchs, you say? Carlos restarts his AE-86 and roars out and on out of there, blasting your Geo Metro with dust and grit. You pocket the key and check the address one more time. 2 hours. This isn't a Scotty on Star Trek problem. By all known laws of physics, getting there in time is entirely possible, but it's a cops all over the road problem. You can't afford to get pulled over doing 95 on some New Mexico highway. You check your maps and consider the possibilities. A busier road would let you weave through traffic and stay hidden, but though you'd need to pay attention to avoid police cruisers. There's also a less busy route where you can just trust raw speed and determination to get you where you're going. Are those the only 2 routes? You might be able to find another way using your maps if you study them, but that might take time that you don't have. The sorcerer's ritual will hasten my journey to make along the less busy road. Many of the rituals you're locked down and chopped up Kindle paperwhite date back to the Middle Ages, when no one was traveling faster than a horse. But you do have a copy of an old Latin spell updated in the 1930s for automobiles. Dare you try it? You read it over again and can't find anything that will turn you into a smear or summon Lilith to drag you screaming down into hell. So you recite the modified words, then get back on the road. You don't feel like you're going faster. Instead, it's like you're skipping whole yards of road at a time. The ritual works and your speed is blistering. You take the next exit and hit the nearly empty frontage road at 75 miles per hour. At least that's what your speedometer says. Then accelerate until the stars ripple. The one police interceptor that spots you gives you a hell of a chase for about a quarter mile, but you hop the median and kill your lights, and they can't keep up. You leave them in the dust, no doubt reporting your very fake license plate. You don't slow down until you can turn off an unlabeled side road within 15 minutes to spare and race for your target, the Pelican case bouncing on the passenger seat next to your messenger bag. You brake hard when the asphalt suddenly vanishes beneath your wheels, leaving you in a dirt path illuminated by starlight. You weren't exactly expecting a whole secure airport, but there's barely even an airstrip ahead of you, just a patch of hard-packed earth surrounded by jagged rocks in one direction, and an infinite seeming expanse of yellow sedge in the other. You're early. You can tell because you hear a buzzing whine overhead. You lean out the window and spot a small twin-engined light aircraft coming in for a landing. It should arrive in a minute or so. You roll your Geo Metro into position so that you can hand off the parcel as quickly as possible. You're feeling entirely confident until the floodlights hit you. A half a dozen black Buick Avenires are now visible not far from your position. One SUV has a light strip on the roof which illuminates the airplane and catches your Geo Metro at the edge of its light. The FBI's Special Affairs Division is here. You're just getting ready to roll when backwards when shots ring out. You duck, but they're not shooting at you. 3 wolves rush this SUV closest to the tall grass. One beast smashes right through the passenger window. A moment later, sprays blood all over the inside of the windshield. It takes you a moment to recognize them as kindred, probably anarchs. Well, at least it's not werewolves. As the wolf gang will swarm out of the devastated SUV, more appear from the darkness and rush the Inquisitions on ATVs. Armed with old rifles or cheap submachine guns, they open fire with wild abandon, laughing even when they get hit. What's a gunshot in a fall to a kindred? The ATVs throw up a cloud of dust that obscures the battle. You're not sure what the gangrel are doing here, but as the battle erupts, you have a clear path to the airplane. The pilot is visible now, illuminated in the open side door. Just before you can roll forward, a dark blue 1963 Ford Fairline roars past you, heading for a heavy plane. Its driver is visible for a moment in silhouette. You catch a glimpse of a French braid and a heavy hulking physique, but the federal agents with the guns remain visible in the glow of the floodlight. The airplane rolls forward, getting ready to take off, but the side door remains open. You can throw the parcel in if you can just get close enough. Dust from the ATV swirls around the runway, so it's a race then. You need to get this parcel into the airplane before the agents shoot the pilot to shreds, and you're doing it while gangrel anarchs ripped into the FBI. You gun the engine. Even as you start to move, you analyze the field ahead of you. The raging battle to your right isn't actually your problem. Whoever wins Gangrel's second in position, they won't be able to interfere before the plane takes off. The twin engine is moving faster now. It's running lights in the glowing, rounded rectangle of its open door, barely visible through the swirling dust. With the fair lane in the way, there's no clear path where you can accelerate hard and just get close enough to throw in the parcel. The path ahead is rough, and dangerously rough at one point. Where there's a large bump in the road you'd hesitate to go over even in an old Ford. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, I close in on the fair lane and open fire with my pistol, staying composed as bullets fly everywhere. Shooting a few agents will give me time to drop off this parcel. Let's see how horribly wrong this goes. When in doubt, shoot a few cops. That's terrible advice under most circumstances, but you're pretty sure it applies here. You accelerate, roll down your windows, and get up alongside the fair lane. These are professionals that see you coming and open fire. Bullets zip over your head, one thumps into the passenger seat. August 2005. Well, your sire says as the church burns, I warned you, I have a temper. Your beast is screaming as to escape the flames, but Dr. Call grabs your wrist and forces you to look. No running away now, Teddy. We must control ourselves after all. You just blew up the whole Bahari temple, you cry as your beast rages. I may have gotten carried away, but let's turn this into a lesson. The dark gifts of the kindred from the lesser arts of the rites of Tremere thaumaturgy are almost too fragile for this world. Our mere existence is too grand and terrible to be hidden, or to ever really let us interact safely with mortals. When our beast rises, whether or not we unleash the power of the blood, we can win victories so overwhelming that they look like defeats. I wish we'd been able to read their copies of the Errands fragments, but at least I took this. She holds up a gleaming garnet ring. Shame about the mess, though. We should leave before the police show up. Furious at the assault, you aim across the cabin of your car and put 2 bullets into the agent before leading out of the fair lane. Teeth gritted with frenzy, you hit the fair lane 2 or 3 more times till it swerves off, revealing a Buick SUV coming your way. You shoot that too, hitting the driver right through the windshield. The SUV flips over and misses your rear bumper by inches and starts to burn. Well, you've scared the Second Inquisition badly enough that they'd put your face on a wanted poster if they could ever see you clearly. But all they've seen is your car and the gun. As the fair lane circles uselessly around the burning SUV, you toss your empty pistol into the driver's side door pocket and accelerate so you're alongside the prop plane. You grab the Pelican case and fling it through the door. The airplane lifts off and you spin the Geo Metro around, blasting gravel and get off the strip, driving right through the yellow sedge with your lights off as the Gangrel FBI battle rages behind you, but no one follows you, and after a few minutes you slow down. Another mission accomplished. You head for the mobile home community where you're supposed to have shelter for the day. You're inside an old airstream with 15 minutes to spare. The next evening, you peek outside, then run a few slow as molasses internet searches to see if anyone might have followed you here. Nothing. You did it. You remind yourself that Leto owes you another $1,000 and get back onto the road towards Kiowa Xenogenetics. You pass an old mining village, abandoned since before cowboy times, and stop to mark its location on the map. A few buildings might offer you cover from the sun if things go badly. There are no signs, and the fence just looks like all the others, but you know you're close when the road gets better. When you spot a headlight in the distance, you instinctively kill your Geo Metro's lights and pull over. 2 Kawasaki ATVs rumble down a side road. Men with rifles and helmets ride the ATVs. They look like Border Patrol, but you know they're private security. Good ones, too, if those bolt-action, bad rock rifles are anything to go by. Those guns are for people who don't miss. One shot will drop a buffalo or a vampire. But you're wondering whether to turn your lights back on or and introduce yourself since you have all your paperwork in order. When the guards take off, followed by a low-flying quadcopter drone another mile down the road, you spot the sheep. They look like regular sheep, except they wear tracking collars and they have four-digit numbers painted on one flank. These must be NVIDIA xenogenetic specimens. You wonder if a sample of their blood might be useful. Maybe Julian would be able to use some. You're not sure if you want to sink your fangs into a xeno sheep, but there are other animals about. Now it might be time to hunt. I just want to go to NVIDIA's facility. Dr. Call's facility consists of several structures. You see a long, low building of green glass and white concrete, trailers for long-term personnel, and a parking lot. There's also a little outdoor coffee shop with a patio. Behind the main building is a refurbished ranch, a garage for the ATVs, and a landing strip for the aircraft. A high chain link fence dotted with security cameras surrounds most of the facility. Quadcopter drones overhead as you stop at the main gate. The woman guarding the yellow gate takes one look at your laminated introductory letter and immediately buzzes you in. You go on ahead through the intersection, she says, and turn right. There's a trailer waiting for you, number 23. The trailer is clean and blandly furnished, except for the thick maroon drapes, which look like they were borrowed from a castle. They completely blot out the sun, though it still feels safer to sleep in the made-up storage space under the bed than on the bed itself. Your sire knows you're here, but you don't have time to worry that just yet. The moment the sun crosses the horizon, you're asleep. Your first thought when you rise is that they're not going to let you through security with a gun. Even your fancy laminated letter won't let you walk in armed. Once you're dressed and cleaned up, you check out security. It isn't as scary as the ATV patrols. It's just one guy with a holstered pistol next to a metal detector. He's watching his laptop in a big atrium with shiny faux marble walls and lots of glass. It's probably busy during the day, but right now it's quiet, though not deserted. Outside the main facility is a detached security office and a little cafe. There's a gap between them where the fence doesn't cover, though there are cameras everywhere in that direction. You consider what to do. I'm not going to cause trouble. I move my weapons into my car and pass through security. You drop your Nixon watch and You drop your Nixon watch and other metal countermeasures into the waiting plastic bin and pass through the metal detector without incident. The guard barely looks up. You enter a circular room illuminated by a giant red hologram of a hemoglobin molecule. It's labeled KXG, Kiowa Xenogenetics. A party is in full swing. 20 scientists and technicians are chatting, drinking wine from fancy glasses, or gathered around a baby grand piano where a man in a tweed jacket is playing ragtime. A whiteboard reads, "Congratulations, Dr. Takashi, on your..." and then a complex formula beyond your ability to understand, despite your technical training. You scan the crowd until you recognize someone. She recognizes you, and her eyes widen. "Teddy?" Vani says, crossing the floor. You haven't seen Vani Anand since before you became a courier. You tried calling her when your CRX broke down outside Tuscan. No wonder she hung up if she's working for Dr. Call. You wonder how much she knows about your sire's real work. Vani isn't dressed for a party. She's wearing a loose-fitting shirt full of pins and notebooks. Though she's put on gold earrings that sometimes gleam in the holographic light. Before you can chat, Vani gets a text and excuses herself, leaving you at the edge of the party. You study the crowd, contemplating how to make a good first impression. Your sire will react badly to the information you're carrying, and you don't want your behavior here to make her mood even worse. Any masquerade violations? I hate to be a narc, but even this far out in the wild wilderness, we can't have sorcery out in the open. The only thing you worry about is the hologram, because you're not sure about how it's being generated, but you're not seeing anything egregious in here. Most of the scientists look well off and well fed. There's no money smell to a lot of them, from the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant doctors listening to ragtime on the piano to the comfortable-looking computer scientists, most of them immigrants from India and Pakistan. Everyone seems pleased with themselves and a little bored. Everyone except one red-haired woman who skulks in the shadows. Pale and sullen-looking, she has the wan look of a blood doll, but her blue eyes are hard and wild as a trapped wolf's. She wears a long moss green cardigan that she keeps pulling down over her wrists and silver rings with occult symbols. You can only read part of her shirt into the cardigan. Hey, that's Latin. You guys got that. The Tremere are sorcerers, but they normally hide better than this. No wonder Prince Leto wants this place shut down. You consider whom to approach and what you want. Potential allies? To uncover the secrets of this place, perhaps to increase your own power. Or maybe you should just try and pull Dr. Call in a good mood for your inevitable... Put Dr. Call in for a good mood for your inevitable meeting. This... Let's see. Yeah. This is an upscale and friendly cloud. I persuade... No, I'm gonna go to the witch. I corner that witch and impress her with my knowledge of the occult. I need powerful allies, and I want to know more about this place. She looks cool. There's her shirt. It says embrace tradition. Oh no. Reject techno... Okay. The redhead looks you up and down, and her face flashes through a dozen expressions in a second. Hate, fear, longing, contempt, fascination. She's insane, but there are 1,000 ways to go insane out here, and you don't know exactly what's wrong with her. She finally settles on an expression of cool contempt. When she plants her hands on her hips, you can read her entire shirt. Reject technocracy. Embrace tradition. Her wrists are covered in intricate scars. So, what the hell are you? Whoever this woman is, she's seen enough that the masquerade doesn't apply to her. A career, you say? You scan the iconography of her rings, noting everything familiar, and you are unexpected. I see symbols for Lilith and the Bahari, Forthrog runes, and Hermetic alchemy, Duran key sorcery, but I don't know how you expect them to fit them together. No, there is no knowledge leech, there's only the will. Oh, no. It's mage. And video call told you what to do if you ever came across a real one, so you turn around and get ready to run, but then you turn back and look the witch in the eyes. Something has been scooped out. It takes you a moment to recognize that particular emptiness and despair. You've been bloodbound, you say. Drink the blood of the same vampire 3 times and you belong to that vampire. It doesn't matter if you're a bank teller, or witch, or Cain himself. This woman used to be more, but now she's just one of your sire's servants. Determined to protect her pride, the witch says, I work with Dr. Call for Dr. Call. I make the snow room for the snow for the snow room. Then she starts muttering to herself, dark and angry. You take a step back as the scientists watch the witch with disgust and fear. The snow room? Interesting. Ah, there you are, Bonnie says, appearing at your side and taking you by the shoulder. Bonnie and the witch lock gazes. Bonnie isn't the one who backs down. She steers you away from the red-headed woman. Giselle is dangerous, she says. Stay away from her. Why, you ask? Because she used to be something more than the rest of us, and now she's something much less. She came here to destroy Dr. Call, and Nvidia destroyed her instead. To destroy Dr. Call, not kill her. Sounds like Bonnie knows who employs her. Hello, Teddy, a cool and professional voice says. Dr. Call still sounds like she's the voice of a computer assistant. She's dressed for the celebration in a long red and black dress. It takes your eyes a moment to resolve the serpents and wolves that form the design. She takes out her black-gloved hand for you to shake, or kiss. You just have to shake. She smiles and takes you by the chin and turns your face back and forth. You should eat more, she says. Your sire pulls you into a shadowy corner and checks your teeth, then takes in your clothes and shakes her head. She has the same flapper bob you remember. Her dark face has thick, expressive eyebrows that bounce around whenever she talks. It was always a strange juxtaposition. Nvidia's animated and friendly face contrasted with her chillingly hypnotic voice. I'll be back in a few minutes to enjoy the party, everyone. Ta for now. She gives an elegant wave, then gestures for you to follow the way she might order a dog around. Everyone in the spill zone knows what we are, she says, pointing to a sign that resembles hands spilling something out of a bowl. She ushers you through another silent sliding door into a stark minimalist chamber with hexagonal white floor and cool white walls. Artifacts of sorcery are visible behind frosted glass or enclosures atop hard plastic pedestals. You see mummy fragments and I'm not even going to try with that. Fragmentary scrolls and broken amulets. There's a diagram of the California Stonehenge they found a few years back. You've heard of that since Kindred say that it was some kind of ritual site. The far side of the room contains a Louis number word, a shaker table with a phonograph and an apparatus for reading wax cylinders, and a microphone reader. Nvidia scans the Latin document. Prince Leto prepared for her and tosses it on the end table. Bonnie, her assistant, places it carefully on a coffee table so her mistress won't lose it. Two studious-looking and handsome young men lounge on the couches nearby, reading books in an obscure dialect of Mongolian. House Tremere stole that text from the Wu Lung in 1984. Sorry, not 984 AD. You're hungry, Teddy, Invidia says, and I don't like hungry kindred wandering around my domain. Please, enjoy Renee or Sanam. Renee is a doctoral student in robotics, and Sanam is an occultist from London by way of a small village in Bhutan. In a year, I will choose one of them. Renee, Sanam, this is Teddy, whose failures I've described to you before. Hi, Teddy, they both say. Until I decide on one, Yosai says, Renee and Sanam provide what sustenance and diversion they might can. An occultist. I wonder how his blood tastes. Try him. You take your time with Sanam as Invidia prepares the microfiche. As always, she scrupulously avoids watching anyone else feed, just as she never let anyone else see her feed. Did Prince Leto tell you what news I should expect? She says, because I already know what happened to Jasper Knowles. He was a friend and a colleague, but I had to sever ties with him when I learned he was experimenting on kindred. We must all draw our line in the sand somewhere. Still, I will miss him. There's art of her. Hello. Look at those. Dr. Call strips off her black gloves, revealing long black nails and a garnet ring that flashes with thaumaturgic power to your sensitive eyes. Bonnie hands her a lab coat. You think quickly as your sire twists the knobs of the microfiche reader and starts reading the first page of Prince Leto's document, rescinding her authority to operate this facility. You should probably say something to soften the blow. Or should you use this moment of vulnerability to extract more information about the snow room? What is it, Doctor? Renee asks. He and Sanam approach the reader, Sanam leaning on Renee. A few other scholars wander and talking quietly amongst themselves about occult or scientific matters, but they keep a cautious distance from Dr. Call. Only Bonnie is willing to get close. I need to take charge and lead her slowly towards the revelation about what's on the microfiche so she doesn't explode into a rage around her blood dolls. You deserve to know the truth, you say. It's bad news. Oh no, Invidia whispers. Prince Leto wants to stop your research, you say, speaking quickly even though as your sire scans the document, but I'm sure there's something we can do to stop that. Not much stops a prince of the Camarilla, Invidia says, her voice full of rage and despair as she scans the letter. She's angry, but you manage to get out ahead of the problem. She's not ready to unleash her beast just yet. A good leader knows when to ask for advice, so you start to ask to her to list her options. Tremere are happy when they're making lists. That's when Renee puts his hand on the back of Invidia's shoulder. It's going to be okay, Invidia. Her eyes turn black. Okay? You think this is okay? She stands up and slaps Renee, knocking the much larger man to the tiled floor. Still, you think you might be able to calm her down. Consider your words carefully, trying to figure out what to say. Calm down, Sanam yells. That was not what to say. Invidia grabs Sanam's skull. Blood runs from beneath her fingers, alchemically transformed. It smokes and fulminates like acid. Sanam can't even scream as flesh drips off of his skull. The other occultists scream in horror and drop their books, running for the exits. But when the corrosive steam rising from Sanam's corpse reaches the ceiling, the facility's fire detector goes off, and a massive security door starts to close. An ear-splitting alarm goes off. Your sire turns, both hands dripping with corrosive acid that blackens the tiled floor. You're familiar with her rage, but this sorcery is new and terrible. You throw yourself behind a couch as Invidia lashes out with her corrosive blood. The chair next to you dissolves, throwing up spumes of noxious gas. Your beast inside screams inside your brain as if it was surrounded by flames. Your iron will allows you to master your fear, but you still don't dare approach her to attack, not with so much unnatural acid dripping from her fingers. How could he? Invidia screams, her face scrunched up in a fury. I've done everything for him. She turns and a wave of corrosive blood blackens the microfiche reader, filling the room with the stink of burning plastic. Her garnet ring flashes with thaumaturgic power. It will take iron will and considerable occult skill, but I can counter her acidic vitae with my own magic. Let's see. Invidia made sure you never lack for self-defense, and with a flick of your fingers and a whispered word of Latin, you match her new sorcery against your own archaic spell. The collision of the occult energies knocks you both backwards, but you keep your feet, and Call's acid vanishes with a thunderclap and a puff of noxious air. Your sire flies back into the floor-to-ceiling window, and corrosive vitae stops leaking from beneath her fingernails. She stares at you, stares at the slimy heap that was once her blood doll Sanam, and collapses onto the nearest chair that's still in one piece. Was I always like this, Teddy? Vani and the occultists are plastered against the far wall, unwilling to approach her sire. A moment later, the door flies open, and Giselle, the witch, strides in, and long red hair streaming out behind her. She shed her green gardigan, revealing the intricate ritual scars on her wrists. What happened? She says, her eyes narrowing dangerously at you as she moves protectively towards Nvidia. You recognize the desperate eagerness to please and protect. It's true then. Call has blood-bound a witch. I made a mistake, Giselle, Sire says, her tone bleak. Sanam is dead. She seems to remember your presence. Oh, Teddy, this is Giselle. She came to kill me for stealing her witchcraft, and I bound her. Now she loves me. Funny, isn't it? Don't say it like that, Giselle says, tucking a black lock behind Nvidia's ear. I want to be here. I want to learn from you. Of course you do, the Dreamer says, her tone of contempt is more acidic than her fingernails. Clean up this mess, Giselle. I should put in an appearance at the party, make up some likely story to tell people. I know how you love explaining these sort of things. So, Vani asks Nvidia a half hour later in her private office, what are we going to do? She's on Call's desk, sitting on her hands to prevent them from shaking. Return to the party, your sire says. She strips out of her sooty dress with the brusque efficiency you've seen her use to skin a cadaver, wipes herself down with a sponge, and lets Vani hand her a slip, followed by a red and black kimono. But first, Teddy, I need to deal with you, your sire says. You will remain at Kiowa Xenogenetics until I have composed a response to Prince Leto. Don't speak. She holds up her hand. The garnet ring flashes dangerously. And don't worry. My response won't be a bomb I ask you to carry back, but I need this time to figure out a way to accommodate Prince Leto's orders. Until then, you stay. Vani, show my child to his room. Your things, minus your gun, arrive in your room a few minutes later. It's a large, well-appointed, windowless chamber that feels like a prison cell despite the comfortable furnishings. Vani hands you a keycard. You're not a prisoner, she says. She bites her lip, then says, and if you need anything, she hands you her business card with a number on it. You have made an impression. Perhaps you've even made an ally. Then she hurries back down the hall. It looks like you're going to be here for a few nights when Nvidia crafts a response to Prince Leto that you hope will get them both what they want. You spend the first night noting interesting areas. Incinerator, organic slurry processing chambers 1 through 4, main security, but large sections of the map are blank. You'll have to explore it on your own to get a better feel for the place. I rely on my leadership talents, seek out Bonnie, and try to procure her as a long-term ally. You track down Vani at the elegant cafe that serves as one of KXG's 3 on-site restaurants. She's sipping a cappuccino and viewing employees' performance data, but when you appear, she smiles and turns her tablet off. Teddy? It's been a few years. You still look good. She still looks a little wild-eyed after Dr. Call's tantrum, but the other night, but she's no longer shaking. Have you enjoyed your work with Dr. Call? You ask. Then, slowly, over the course of an hour or so, you lead Vani away from Dr. Call with her creepy fondness for mortals that compensates for her sudden and explosive rages toward you. Nvidia was always an organizer, but she was never much of a natural leader. By the end of the hour, Vani's eyes are shining as she looks at you. I'm going to be leaving soon, if Dr. Call lets me. You know when to get out of a conversation. You thank Vani for her time, leave the offer there, and head back to your room. You have an ally here now and possibly later. You consider the medium term. What can you do with a scientist and an administrator? Dare you consider the creation of a ghoul? The possibility intrigues you. Your itinerant lifestyle has left no room for servants, but maybe it's time to establish a real base of power. Sure, I need blood. What are my options? Though Dr. Calls offered you her blood dolls when you first met, no further opportunities have been forthcoming, and you have been unable to contact her. Even through Vani, your sire knows as well as anyone the dangers of letting a hungry vampire wander around, only loosely monitored. You wonder if she's deliberately weakening you or trying to make you do something erratic. You consider your options. Dr. Call's operations obviously require a lot of blood. Most of it is stored in restricted areas that you can't access, but there's at least one freezer outside the spill zone that you might be able to hack into. Among human targets, you see three possibilities. Custodians usually work alone. You can just grab one if you're tough enough. Technicians monitor equipment 24/7. Some of those technicians work alone, and some of the technicians who work alone fall asleep on the job. You'd have to stay cool to look like you belonged with them, but you could sneak up on a snoozing tech and feed. You have to be careful around the scientists since NVIDIA keeps close tabs on them. An attack won't work, but seduction might. If you lure one in with charm and deceit, a warm meal and a bed companion might be fun, so long as you don't actually kill one. Finally, there are plenty of animals in the Kiowa grasslands around the facility and in the ranch out back. You're too closely monitored to leave the facility entirely, but if you found a place to watch, paid attention, and waited till you saw your opportunity, you could get into the ranch and bag yourself a sheep. Charm, deceit, a little romance. What's not to like? Shouldn't be hard to seduce a scientist. Oh, I got a trophy for that. Fun. The scientists work 24/7 in 3 shifts. Since it's hard to leave the facility for day trips, Dr. Call has done what she can to provide the people here with entertainment and a bit of culture. You circulate among the facility's 3 restaurants, of which 2 are usually open at night, paying attention to 2 things. First, you want someone who's looking for a good time. Second, you want someone who doesn't know what a vampire is. You scan the crowd at the on-site and New American BBQ place until you spot a woman who's showing... Okay, I chose earlier, like last episode, I chose that it would... It's just strange that it keeps giving him women. I just chose the thing where it was like, it doesn't matter who. They can do what they want. You scan the crowd at the on-site bar. Yeah. Her red hair is piled on high on her head, an intricate updo that indicates that she's dressed as much for her own sake as much as anyone else's. Interesting. Before you can make your move, a good-looking guy in a gray turtleneck approaches her. She eviscerates him. You order another drink and you won't touch and consider your options. Maybe someone else. Or maybe you're better at this than the guy you just struck out. You walk over. She smiles. After a short conversation, you start to get a feel for the young scientist, a postdoc with lots of debt. She used to wait tables and dance to earn a bit of cash, but you can't exactly do that out here in the middle of nowhere, so she's thinking about either asking for a raise or moving on. From what you gather, she should probably ask for a raise. Phlebotomists with her pedigree are in high demand, and not just among vampire mad scientists. But you shift the conversation to more personal matters, family, friends. When she asks about yourself, you deflect in a way that makes you seem mysterious and alluring. She smiles again, then finishes her cocktail, her red tongue sliding around the straw. She looks at you for a long moment. Check, he told the bartender. So you're like a drifter? She asks. She laughs at her joke, then pulls you into her tiny prefab apartment, kissing you hungrily. She pushes you away. Stay here, and she disappears into the bathroom for a moment. You scan the room, but there's nothing to see. It's a standardized habitation unit made of injection molded plastic. You've been in bigger beds. You take the time to take your Adidas off. Your scientist friend steps out of the bathroom in lingerie. I don't have a lot of room to dance, she says, pulling you to your feet. You try a few steps into the tiny room, and you pull her onto the bed and slide out of your streetwear. Tangled and blah, blah, blah. You burrow your head between her head and shoulder and nuzzle her neck and sink your fangs into her throat. She sighs and gives you everything you need. Once you're sure she's asleep, you lick the wound on her neck closed, cover her with a blanket, find your Adidas, and slip out. Okay. Now I am going to stay out of trouble. I learned the hard way what happened last time. You make yourself wait, confining your activities to the low-key exploration and investigation. Early one evening, as you pull your Adidas on, there's a knock on the door. When you open it, Giselle is standing in the doorway. She looks pale and ragged, and her long green cardigan is dark with blood where it clings to her wrists. She looks like she's been crying. Dr. Call wants to see you, she says. Clean yourself up. You have 10 minutes. From the tone of her voice, you suspect this might be your final night at Kiowa Genetics. You grab everything you have, including your messenger bag. Check your exits in case you have to move fast. You know you've been closely watched for the last few nights, and that the security staff is ready in case you try to make a run for it. The only good news is that Giselle looks terrible. As you head into the spill zone, you pass Vonnie, who gives you the slightest nod. You've made an impression on her. She's willing to help you out. You're led not to her office, but deeper into the facility, until you reach a huge steel hanger-like door. This is the snow room, Giselle says. her voice tired. She glances at you out of the corner of her eye, but you just shrug, as if you have no idea what that is. It's where Dr. Call and I conduct our research on how to mimic and emulate vampiric flesh. Excuse me. I keep my mouth shut. I really want to see what, what my sire has been brewing here. I feel this is more consistent with his characterization. The door opens silently despite its size, and a blast of cold air hits you. Cold can't hurt you unless you freeze solid, but you're still close enough to your life. You find the sensation viscerally unpleasant. Giselle, her normally haughty demeanor gone, shrinks away from the cold air. When the door closes again, she's on the other side of it. Not sure where exactly to go, you pass through the cold room full of brushed steel tanks attached to thick tubes, electrical cables, and laptops propped open on one of the folding metal desks. The next room resembles a meat locker, except the carcasses hung from iron chains aren't cows or pigs, and neat grids delineate the walls and floor. Use what little you know already about the snow room to help you memorize everything you see. Dr. Call is waiting towards the back of the next chamber. She's wearing a plain lab coat with KXG on the lapel. Here, the grid-like order of the rooms replaced by the mounds of Here, the grid-like order of the rooms breaks down, replaced by mounds of dirty brown snow that slowly merge with the icy walls. Overhead, fans drive sub-zero air and down into the snow. Good evening, Teddy, your sire says. I've thought long and hard about Prince Lato's message, and I think I have a solution. I want you to destroy me. So, what? So you can be, reborn? Now I'm a little curious. Dark resurrections are cool. Nothing so melodramatic. This is politics, not metaphysics. Call picks her way over the dirty snow. After a moment, she reaches her elbow deep into it and hauls out a naked woman who stares blankly. With her face slack instead of animated, you barely recognize NVIDIA Call. The real Call gets the corpse clone into a lab coat. The clone's feet are black with blood and decorated with Giselle's runes. No wonder the witch can barely stand. When the Camarilla banned most forms of electronic communication, the real Dr. Call says, Clan Tremere thought it could just build an occult network, but that was hacked too. That's how Giselle found me. She and I are good friends now, of course, but it was clear to me that the thaumaturgy invented centuries ago She and I are good friends now, of course, but it was clear to me that thaumaturgy invented centuries ago was as vulnerable as any other the old and unsecured communication protocol. My original plan was to use my clones as couriers, both in the normal fashion and by encoding them with the information that could be read through my genome analysis. But they never quite worked, and, well, it seems Prince Lato disagreed with my work here anyway. She takes a moment to master her rage, and goes on. You're familiar with the Second Inquisition, Teddy? Yes, they showed up. Nope. I've been dodging the government agents. Might as well share what information I can all in this together. Have you tangled with the 111th, the IAO? What about the FBI branch, the Special Affairs Division? She listens. Interesting. They're all deadly, but not all hunters are like that. Some are dangerous buffoons who are in over their heads, just like the group that attacked me the last time I left my facility. I killed most of them. A few got away, and they're still looking for me. I like to give myself to them. She gestures to her clone. Once everyone thinks I've been destroyed, I'll have time to transfer my research elsewhere, away from Lato. We're self-funding now. I don't need him. You glance around the room. It's just you, Dr. Call, the half-buried clones, and a few technicians on the balcony around you. Icy pipes run out of the massive tank on the far wall, an elaborate coolant system surrounded by warning signs. Huge chains dangle from the ceilings, their purpose unclear. The doors nearby are locked. You really think you can trick Lato in this way? I fear Dr. Call is underestimating the prince. The last prince of Tuscan was destroyed because he let his pride overwhelm his common sense, NVIDIA says. Lato has learned that lesson almost too well. The moment something isn't worth the resource he expends to sustain it, he cuts his losses. I'm not worth the fight, he'll let me go. You sit back and consider your options. Your sire is probably right that the vampire hunters aren't that dangerous unless you make a mistake. Your concern is the Prince of Tuscan. You've tried to uphold the traditions and the principles of the Camarilla, and Prince Leto has repaid that respect by trusting you. It would be a shame to lose the trust that you've built up, and Leto is no fool, but he'll learn the truth. He'll learn the truth eventually. On the other hand, eventually is not the same as now. Right now, you're in the heart of your sire's territory, and you know she will not take refusal well. And just so we're clear, I'm not asking you to do work for free. I can pay, obviously. Will $5,000 be sufficient? And I can teach sorcery and far-seeing mastery of beasts and men. I think that's how Jasper used to phrase it. A bit dramatic, but true. You know the Camarilla won't let me help you. I've picked my side. This isn't the choice you seem to think it is, child, Invidia says, baring her teeth. Her little fangs aren't frightening, but the acid that swirls around her hands, forming runes of power, that's what's worrying. If there's one thing you've learned as a Tremere, it's that your elders don't like sharing their plans. Invidia has the other drivers. What happens if she views you as a loose end or someone who knows too much? You have my answer, Invidia. I won't help you. And you can guess my answer, Josiah says. You can see Invidia trying to hold herself together. She's not a prince, despite her independence, and has no real authority to attack or harm you. You see her trying to avoid giving in to her beast. She screams, and acid vitae explodes out towards you. You throw yourself to the ground, and the world dissolves into noxious gas as the acid reacts explosively to hitting the snow. The technicians above you flee. Invidia's eyes burn with rage, but you think she deliberately misaimed that blast. Even as she teeters on the brink of madness, she understands how much trouble destroying you will bring her. But her partial self-control might not matter. Before you can say anything, a frozen pipe explodes. The valve flies past your head and shatters a laptop, and all the lights turn red. The fans driving chill winds through the snow room suddenly cut off. Call stumbles backwards, rage turning momentarily into terror. Of what? Then her clones rip themselves free of the streaming ice. 20 naked, frost-rimmed call clones swarm you and your sire. She lashes out with her corrosive vitae, dissolving terrifying several more, and pushing your beast to the edge of madness. When you can think again, crawls up on the balcony. You're not sure if she flew, climbed one of the dangling chains, or used the stairs. The ice clones are closing in on you, blocking you off from those stairs. The clone's teeth are noticeably bigger than the real Invidia's and have many claws and spurs of bone jutting out of their flesh. Speaking of Call, as you try to maneuver, a jet of acid narrowly misses your head. It looks like she hasn't forgotten you, or forgiven you. She's above the main coolant system. You might be able to destroy this whole facility if you have the technical acumen. That would please Prince Leto, especially since you can now fairly report that she tried to destroy you, though Julian would hate to lose all of this research. Another jet of corrosive vitae turns a nearby clone to soup. Call is looking for a clear shot at you, but you better not give her one. Oh my god.
Oh, I don't remember what his intelligence stats are.
Alright, it's risky, but I think I'm smart enough to understand how the coolant system operates. Sabotage it, which will destroy the facility in minutes. You dodge the claws of the clones, slip a little on the patch of ice, then vault over the low railing that surrounds the coolant tank. The clones have a lot of trouble with the railing, and the first wave tries to get over, but the ones coming up from behind them knock them down. And their bodies are so slippery with the ice that they can't work as a group to climb. So that buys you, 10 seconds? You grab the laptop attached to the main tank. It's open to the relevant window, so there's no password. You've been looking at displays like this for several nights now. You've thought about the weaknesses of KXG's systems, and though you didn't actually expect to be overloading a coolant system, you think you know how to do it. Several keystrokes take you to a warning page. Do you want to proceed? Oh, hell yes. But before you can confirm, a clone grabs your ankle and yanks you off your feet. The laptop goes flying. You kick instinctively, knocking a clone out of the way, but when you jump to your feet, you can't see the laptop, and the clones have figured out how to reach you. You duck their slashing claws and fall back to the stairs. Once you have the high ground, it's over, Anakin. It's easy. You can just kick the clones back down the stairs. Soon, so many have fallen that they're blocking up the stairs. They keep trying to climb, but they're too stupid to use the railing, so they just slip over each other's icy bodies and slide back down. Yeah. Your sire glares at you, her eyes so full of rage that you're amazed that she can even keep working her sorceries, but you're confident that you can talk her down or strike her down in the next few seconds. She's going to start in on another round of acidic blood.
You spot Vonnie at the round porthole of the metal door nearby. She doesn't dare open it yet and draw Nvidia's attention, but she looks like she's willing to help you escape. You consider ways to escape. There are girders overhead as you watch the cold mist coil up towards them, drawn by an unseen draft. There must be a way out over there. If you could just balance across the wailing for a few seconds, you could hop up. I need to reason with my sire. Yeah. First, I signal Vonnie. The sting of betrayal will make my sire more vulnerable to short-term manipulation. Hopefully, she doesn't melt her. Vonnie opens the door a little bit, ready to pull it shut in case her former employer tries to melt her. But even that tentative gesture is enough to demoralize your sire. Yeah, I need to reason with my sire again. You can't win, Nvidia. Let's be reasonable. Let's just go our separate ways. Your sire backs off, unwilling to let this unpleasantness escalate into mutual destruction. You run for the door where you can see Vonnie. Your sire seems to consider unleashing some dire curse on you, but thinks better of it. You tell Vonnie where you're parked, and she takes the lead as the two of you get out of there before Dr. Call locks down the whole facility. Sirens flash, and you have to avoid the obvious exit when you spot 4 security personnel with sidearms, but you're able to circle around and your Geo Metro is waiting. Your pistol is on the seat in a small plastic case. Vonnie hops in the passenger seat and you roll out. The main gate opens as you approach, then starts to close. Stop! The guards and the booth shouts, but you hammer the gas and slip under the gate. You race down the road and as fast as you dare, but you never see any of the guards on ATVs, the ones with big engine block cracking rifles. A quadcopter drone circles over your positions once, but your lights aren't on, so it doesn't spot you. In just a few minutes, you and Vonnie are completely clear. You turn back on the paved road, then pick it up to 70 so you can get under cover before the sun rises. Whew, okay, that's exciting. I'm very glad we did not die or get Vonnie killed. You'll love to see it, boys. A few nights later, Prince Leto sends a cordial handwritten invitation to meet him at the Viper. While looking down through the floor-to-ceiling glass window at the frenzied dance floor, the Eagle Prince offers no apologies for nearly getting you destroyed. He offers a few roundabout implications that he plans to remove Dr. Call from her facility in the next few nights. One way or another, but that's not your problem anymore. Since you successfully delivered the Prince's ultimatum and got that parcel on the airplane, you get more money to stuff under your mattress. You return to the parking garage and park the Geo Metro. That day you dream of sand. Smoke rises from the twin wrecks that stain the dunes. Your albatross was a merely functional machine, adequate if unloved, but the prototype staggering SPAD, your rival flew, was a thing of beauty. You have seen many wars, but never one so unlovely as this one. Your shattered legs are still healing, better than burning, you tell yourself. Then sand slides down another dune. The other pilot, his goggles and caps are gone, so his shaggy blonde hair gleams in the moonlight. He sees you, draws a pistol, then puts it away. You should be dead, you say. You try Arabic, then French. I fell from horses when I was alive, he answers, and now I fall from planes. They both hurt about as much. The nearest village is 30 miles to the north. Shall we walk together? You look at the pale sliver of the light on the eastern horizon and calculate your chances. But again, you know that this is a memory. How did you plan to outpace the sun? I always know how to command men. They led that whelp across the desert. Whatever your new companion's faults and limitations, he respects age and power. He knows authority when he sees it. The pilot listens to your instructions, gathers what equipment you might need, and sets out behind you. As you walk, you contemplate everything that has happened. August 1917. This pointless war has filled you with doubts. You joined. Why did you even join? To become a hero? To prove yourself to the Banu Hakim elders of the Ottoman Empire? But now you realize the smallness of the truth. For Cainites, the highest virtue is survival. Just getting by from night to night is all really one can ask. Maybe other things can follow that, mercy or rage, art or wealth, but without mere survival, there is nothing. The truth is harsh, but inarguable. I must prioritize perpetuating my own existence. I feel like that fits with good old Teddy's characterization so far. Higher aspirations might be noble, but you swear yourself to survival at all costs. You will do what you must to see the next midnight, and the one after that, and so on down to the ages. And we find ourselves here. So what I'm going to do, my intrepid gamers, is boost my stats, buy some stuff from Elena. Hi, Elena. And then we're going to call it a night because I've been at this for hours. My goodness, my throat is getting dry. You tune the Geo Metro's radio to hear the news. This is Mel Shin, and you're listening to Mel at Midnight. And now the nerd news. Lester Bond at the Santa Fe Institute in Santa Fe recently published his findings on the so-called Desert Stonehenge found in California, in the California desert in the 1970s. Pointing to the evidence of the tools used in recent results, Professor Bond claims that the work is a Victorian-era forgery. The Desert Stonehenge drew Fortean pseudo-archaeologists and even Native American rights advocates in the 70s, but has subsequently fallen into obscurity as evidence emerged that it was of recent manufacture. But where it has come from has not been clear until now. Elizabeth Sneed of the online debunking service Cahoots claims that Lister Bond is an archon of the 18th grade controlled by the New World Order. She's here with me now. Elena greets you again as she takes one of her suppliers. Hey, at least she's not trying to shoot me to death. An actual good suit would be good for him. Yeah, let's buy a suit. People around here don't seem to pawn clothes as often as they pawn guns, power tools, and Blu-rays. And Blu-rays of Click 2006, but you discover a small collection of decent clothes, and an even smaller section of really good clothes. Nice men's suits aren't too far out of fashion from the good brands. The Cucinelli is too big around the shoulders, but the ring jacket suit in a medium gray fits so well that you won't even need to get it tailored. You're a long way from anywhere nice enough to need that, Elena says. That's why it's only $450. I buy the high-end clothes and leave Covenant. Now I'm going to go see how many XP I have. 15 experience points. You'll love to see it, boys. Wow, my intelligence was higher than I thought. Let's bunk here. You can pause that and read that if you like. Alright, let's bump investigation. Definitely academics. The man is book smart. I'm gonna go check on my social stats at the Viper really quickly. My charisma is almost maxed out, my goodness. Okay. Let's get a point in intimidation, because survival is coming at any cost now. 2 points in intimidation, my goodness. And why not? I'll max out my leadership. Alright, so those are my stats for the evening, and now we're going to go check on Rainer's imported autos to get a better car than the one that I have. Give me the Bat for 900. It's the cheapest you have. And now let's see if I can get out of this parking garage. I look for a real estate office so I don't have to live in a parking garage. Acquiring property as a canine isn't easy. Some nights you think the whole point of the Camarilla is to make sure vampires can buy property. The traditions are grand, but secondary to making sure vampires can generate equity. Still, you can't live in a modified office or a parking garage forever. You've struggled to master your dark gifts on the road, but the truth is that you need a secure, comfortable haven if you're ever to unlock the deeper secrets of your arts. Further, moving house should reduce the Second Inquisition's ability to track you, at least for a little while. After asking around, you learn that any real estate purchased by vampires goes to Prince Leteau. He owns a place called Magical Real Estate, which handles the needs of people like you. The middle-aged native woman who runs the place, Anna, explains the situation. The problem isn't that you can't head down to the real estate office at 3 in the afternoon. Your legal identity is a cobbled-together fiction that is always changing to avoid scrutiny. You could use your ID to buy some Four Loko, and it's enough to let you buy a car, but property? I can show you some excellent prices, Anna says, with excellent ways to escape into the sewers in event of 100 emergencies, but will require a substantial upfront payment, and that's how we handle the legal hurdles. We don't want anyone investigating your identity and wondering why your ages don't match up, understand? You nod. This level of security protects you as well as any other kindred in the city. Well then, let's see what we can do for you, Anna says. Despite her apparent good cheer, she watches you keenly. Your status with the Camarilla you suspect will determine how generous she can be with her offerings. Let's look at the penthouse. How much is the penthouse? More than I can afford by 65. Yeah, $64. My goodness. All right, I guess we're buying the 2-bedroom apartment for $1,333. Very nice. After just some more haggling, you agree to purchase the 2-bedroom apartment. There's almost no paperwork on your part. You just hand over an envelope full of cash, and Anna hands you a key. Like Julian, Anna is particularly invested in your security plans. You got your sliding walls, of course, your hired assassins trained from birth in the arts of quiet murder, your poison bombs, your rooms of death, of course, like Knowles used to favor. And of course, there's mechanical locks, electronic locks. You let her ramble because you know that you'll have to secure your new place and any other place you move into. You move in that night and secure your new haven. You'll furnish it over the course of the next week or two, so it looks like a real human lives here. But right now, you have a place where you can develop your supernatural gifts in peace. Where to tonight? Oh, isn't that the question to ask, gamers? So, I'm going to scroll past my stats and stuff so you guys can see those. As I bid you all adieu, I thank you wholeheartedly for joining me here in episode 2 of Vampire the Masquerade Night Road by Carl Marquis. I'm very much enjoying doing the series, even if it's a little bit different from your standard fare of a Let's Play series. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying watching as much as I am playing. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.